Does he have it? He's going to get it. Look at Johnson. He haven't got it. He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good afternoon and welcome to the VWSC Historic Round 5 live from the Hockenheim ring. I am James Parfit. I'm going to be joined in the booth by Dan Peoples this evening, and on production we have the fabulous Paul Glover once again in the background, providing us all with these amazing shots that we're going to be getting throughout the broadcast. And well, let's have a look at the calendar for what we've got coming up here today. It's going to be an absolutely incredible race, I'm sure, with these amazing cars that are on track at the moment. Welcome in if you are here. Here we are at Hockenheim today, 250 kilometers, about 38 laps plus the formation lap here, and with times around about 1:56, 1:57, we're looking like maybe over about an hour and a half's worth of racing. We then go on to Le Mans on the 20th of May for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. Then we got Dijon on the 29th of July, then the Hungaroring on the 19th of August, Suzuka on the 2nd of September, Donington on the 30th, Austria on the 28th of October, and then Miami on the 25th of November. Laguna Seca will be the final season finale on the 2nd of December. The 28th of, 2nd of December. Sorry, I was reading the wrong one there. But there we go. And now let's have a look at the tyre compounds for today. So as you can see there, we've got softs, hards, wets and intermediates. I don't think we're going to need the wets today. I don't think we'll need the intermediates either. I've got a funny feeling we will be fine on that one. The LMGT2s there will not need the intermediates or the wets. There's no sign of rain. We haven't been told that rain was on his way, so I'm not overly worried about that. The challenges for today will be top speed versus corner in, of course. Don't forget we've got some very long straights. We will show you the track map after this. Rainy weather, maybe, possibly. And consistency of the driver's ability to keep the car on track. Now, obviously, we've seen some of the series at Spa as well last time out. The rain did play a big part. The track itself, let's have a look at the track. It is the 6.8 kilometers, 4.23 circuit of the Hockenheim ring. Now, this circuit was actually in use between 1992 and 2001. After that, it went to the current design that we've got now, with the national circuit and the full Grand Prix circuit here as well. But we have got this wonderful circuit in front of us. 16 corners, long straights, few chicanes, and then more long straights and more few chicanes. And that's pretty much the format of the racing will be here today. So next up, we can have a look at the current championship standings here as they are before this round. So in the LMGT1s, we've got Wouter de Bruin at top, with the Mercedes-Benz CLK on 20 points. Magnus Dahlgren in second on 19. Ethan Dunk in third. Johnny Gutierrez in fourth on 11. Daniel Kirby in fifth in 10th, with John Uyan in sixth on 7.5 points. Timon Subic in 7th. Francesco in 8th. Brian Hall 9th. Luciano Ricciardo in 10th. Jason Whited in 11th, Alexander Schultz in 12th, Gilles Lalonde in 13th, Alex Garrick in 14th, Joachim Kudre in 15th, Norm Graff 16th, Victor Geneva in 17th, Felipe Enrique in 18th, Brandon Gant 19th, Alec King 20th, and Risto Corpi down in 21st. In the teams, you've got the Rookie Monsters Mercedes team at the top, tied with ME Racing, CMS Pro in third, Depth Racing 4th, and Schultz Rennsport in 5th. On to the LMGT AMS. Becky Ely is in first place, Barry Dimarzo in second, Wayne Hutchinson third, Jerry Chen fourth, George Andalijas fifth, Stephen Miller in sixth, Eric Monet in seventh, Guolan Benk in eighth, Tom Mountjoy in ninth, Mike Olsen is in 10th with Tony Boynton and Graham Duncombe on 0 points. In the teams, we got the Momo Scudiera Cavelli in first place, Speed Details MRE in second, Golf Racing third, and Hardtail Racing in fourth place. So we get down now into the next one. All right, we've got Matthew Overton currently topping the LMGT2s in first place on 19 points in that Viper GTSR. Ben Borman in second in the Marcos with Ross Smith there in third. Both teammates, of course, from the Rookie Monsters. JT Tammy in fourth, Adrian Rice in fifth, Dave Course sixth, Joe Miller seventh, Jeffrey Ellis eighth, and Timmy Vanderberg in ninth. In the teams, we've got Rookie Monsters out in front with Dark Thunder Racing with Matthew Overton and Dave Course in second place in the LMGT2 AMS. It is Felipe Marazzi in first place in the Porsche 911 GT2 there. Peter Meyer in second. Maximilian Petrovsky in third. And Matthew Simeone in fourth place. Josh McGlinsky in fifth. Alex Hangling is in seventh. Now, obviously, only one team in this, which is Rook Motorsports for the Porsche 911 GT2 with Maximilian and Matthew there. And that is the current standings as they are before this round, everyone. So sit back and enjoy. You've listened to me ramble on enough for the first 5 minutes of this one. So let's bring in Dan Peebles into the booth. Dan, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, James. It's so far this season has been very exciting. Let's put it like that, and I'm looking forward to seeing these cars out on this track. Such a legendary track, this one. A track that has been shortened throughout the years, of course, as we know the circuit now about 4 kilometers long. So they cut about 2 kilometers off of the track, and most of that was, of course, this legendary run through the forest.
Yeah, it definitely was there as well. They made it down into the stadium section, of course, which is the current format layout of this track. Of course, the circuit design itself. It's been an interesting one. There's been lots of developments at the Hockenheim ring as well. They've had multiple circuit layouts. They've had multiple designs of the circuit. Obviously, the safety of the circuit come into scrutiny as well. With the traditional, what they had back in the day was obviously hay bales and not much else safety to it. And a lot of dangers did happen and incidents happen at this circuit as well. So it's definitely one that now has improved a lot. But we are racing on the 92 to 2001 layout here. We've got about 8 minutes left of practice. Then we'll go into qualifying, of course. That will start in about 8 minutes' time. And one that we will look out for as well. GT2s will be out first, and then the GT1s after. Qualifying will end about 6:30 BST. And then we'll go into the driver briefing and warm-up. That will be at about 10:02. And then the formation lap and the race start will be at 7 p.m. Okay, so stay tuned for that one. Thank you so much again. If you are here, let us know that you're here in both chats, of course. We will say hi. And we will talk to you. Storm Gang Simulation there. Let's go over on the CMS YouTube channel as well, broadcasting on both channels here. And one that I think is going to be bringing some absolute epic racing here this evening. Dan, who do we think? Magnus Dolphin topping the time in towers at the moment on a 156.866. He's flying along. He's done 19 laps currently at the moment as well. Doing an absolutely stellar job there. I'm wondering, with the absentee of Daniel Kirby, which I cannot see currently in the session, I'm wondering whether Magnus is thinking maybe this is the day that it's his day for the win here, Dan.
Could be. One that I'm looking forward to, James, is Becky Ely. Of course, last 2 races out at Silverstone and at Oschersleben, round 3 and 4 of these historics, she's won in the LMGT1 AM class. So both of those races dominant, really strong in the LMGT1 car in that McLaren of hers. And so, yeah, looking forward to how she will do, of course, this evening.
Yeah, she definitely did well in Spa. Obviously, we saw it here as, did an absolutely stellar job last time out in the modern series, and has been flying along quite nicely, obviously topping the championship standards here in the historic. Mind you, it's only 1 point ahead of Barry Dimarzo. So that's one battle worth looking out for here, as we see Alex Gorick just go off the side of the circuit there, round what is potentially turn 11. But I think there's battles all the way through. Wout de Boer, Magnus Dolger and Ethan Funk, they're all within about 8 points of each other currently at the moment in the LMGT1s as well. And then obviously down in the LMGT2s, Matthew Overton, Ben Borman and Ross Smith. Now obviously we spoke to Ross previously, he's got to grips with the car but not satisfactory enough that he thinks it's going to be an interesting one, I think, for all of these drivers, just the way of the circuit makeup and the fact that this is probably one of the circuits that we run this season that's got very long straights, high speed straights, down through chicanes, high speed again, and then down through chicanes. It's kind of a rinse and repeat until you potentially get up into the stadium section, of course, where it all kind of changes. But I think it's going to be tough for these drivers overall to get to grips with this circuit. It's not one that they're going to be used to throughout this season, and it's one that they're probably only going to visit like this once.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, of course, Barry Dimarzo. Now, Barry Dimarzo and Becky Ely, two very different drivers on how they got to the front of that LMGT1 AM class. Becky Ely lost 2 races, she won, so picked up a good haul of points there. Barry Dimarzo hasn't won yet, if I recall correctly. Now, the thing is, one is very consistent, it's always up there in the top 3. The only race that Barry Dimarzo was not here in the top 3 was in race number 1 at Daytona, the 2.4 hours at Daytona, and I was wrong. Round 2 at Sebring, he won in the LMGT1 AM class. So Barry Dimarzo, very consistent, not always there at the top, but always very consistent in the top 3, especially the last 3 races. Becky Ely, well, if she's out on track, she's usually one of the quickest drivers out there. So, always fighting for that victory. Two different aspects of drivers, really, on how they got to the top of that, LMGT1 AM class. So, an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, Becky Ely currently on a 204.252, Barry Dimarzo 204.307. So not a massive gap between them there as well. So it will be a close one. I think this is going to be a lot closer than other circuits that we've been to this season. I think at the end of the day, there's been some that have caused, different types of racing. Silverstone, Oschersleben, Sebring, Daytona, they're all different circuits. And one that some people love, some people hate. Oschersleben, I'm not a great fan of it, but Sebring, Daytona and Silverstone, I am. I like Hockenheim as well. The old school layout on it brings a different dimension to the racing, and one that I think people, are going to enjoy here, partly due to the fact that obviously these cars, in hindsight, are made for high-speed racing. They could bring around the likes of Le Mans and Spa, and they've got that sort of pedigree, that history about them as well, that I think from Dimarzo's and Ely's point of view, they'll enjoy. They're gonna thrive on this. They're gonna, as long as they can get the car stopped down into some of the chicanes that we've got, of course, I think they're going to do really well. And I think overall, the drivers are going to be, loving the fact that we're here in Hockenheim today. Okay, moving on. We've got 2.5 minutes left of practice. And before we go into the run there as well, don't forget, guys, as well, if you are here, subscribe, turn on the bells, give the videos a big old thumbs up, whether you're on the CMS YouTube channel or the JPB YouTube channel, of course. Thank you so much for joining us. Say hi in chat, we will respond and have a good old conversation. Let us know who you think is going to win or what the situation's going to be, on whether or not who you know, how are they going to get on around this track? They've got 38 plus 1 to do here. Times of 1:56. Concentration, fatigue is all going to be up in the air, and one that I think these guys have got to be looking out for, and one that will definitely make a massive form of mentality that they've got to go along and race. So overall, I think it's going to be exciting. Dan, you got any predictions for this afternoon?
Oh, it's so difficult. It's such a difficult track, especially in these GT1 cars. So even if you're leading 80% of this race, it could be over by taking one bump in the wrong way. So it's very difficult to have predictions here this evening. And usually I don't like to sit on the fence, but I'm going to sit on it this time round, because if there's one track and car combination where you just cannot predict anything, it's this one.
Yeah, I think depends on how Dahlgren gets on. He's currently flying along. He's got about nearly 1.4 seconds over Wouter De Bruyne in practice. So it's going to be an interesting one to see if Magnus does what he can do here in qualifying. And then I think, to be honest, in that LMGTs, I think it's going to be Magnus Dahlgren will be pulling away. I can't see anybody getting anywhere near him currently at the moment. Obviously, you know, he's just flying along. When you've got that amount of a gap, I think overall it's going to be tough for anybody else to get hold of Dahlgren, depending on how he gets, you know, if he can get away at the start. That's going to be the main point of it as well, of course, here this afternoon. And don't forget, they have got the orange zone on the circuit as well, so they will be obviously lining up in single file. The orange zone leads out round turn 1 right the way through to 2, 3 and 4, and then after 4 they're free to go at that one as well. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to see how they handle that orange zone down and how they get on that run down into 2, 3 and 4, ready to come out the other side and start battling.
Overtaking the GT2s will also be a massive part of this race, because it is such a high speed track, and if you're battling a car in your own class, especially the GT1s, and you then try and pass a GT2, it can make life very difficult for you. So you have to watch out, and especially going into the chicanes. So it's a tricky one. The drivers will have to manage it just like every other race. And even though it is a track with a lot of straights, it seems very easy to pass lap traffic on slower cars, but it is definitely not, because it's a very tight and twisty track in the section where it does matter, especially that stadium section.
Yeah, I think the stadium section is going to be one that they are going to have to follow through here, and one that will keep it very, very honest. So let's see how they get on. We are into qualifying now, and see how they get on here. Look at these beautiful cars coming out on circuit here, down for the LMGT2s, Vipers and the Arcoses, Porsche and the Mustangs. They do look beautiful cars. Do love a good Viper out on track as well. It brings me back to the day when they first announced the Viper, and there was an actual article over in the UK that a nurse had saved up her money and was one of the first people in the UK to ever buy a Dodge Viper. So there we go. I don't know her name. I can't remember what her name was. I just remember seeing the newspaper article. The first woman in the UK was a nurse who bought the Dodge Viper.
Ooh, interesting moment in qualifying there.
Yeah, they come out of the pits. They do jockeying as they go down here as well from the pit lane. I'm sure it will all settle down here once again. What do we think on draft, Dan? How big of a deal is it going to be running around some of these straights and corners?
Now, that was something I wanted to point out when you were talking about the orange zone too, because the orange zone runs from, well, one turn into a chicane. That's it. Between that one turn and that chicane, you have a very long straight to slipstream on, and usually you would say that in a straight it's easier to overtake, and especially do it safely. So an orange zone doesn't mean you cannot overtake. You're not allowed to overtake. An orange zone just means that if you do crash in that orange zone, the penalty is going to be a lot harsher than outside of that orange zone. So you can pass, And I think this might be one of the tracks where it might be worth going for a pause, even in the orange zone, especially between that long straight between turn 1 and the first chicane.
Yeah, I think overall, I think the general census will be just to be trying to survive, the first lap, really. They're going to be jockeying around, they're going to be battling for positions, there's a lot of things that they're going to be fighting for, and I think sensibly they're going to just want to try and keep the car on track. I'd be very, surprised if we see anybody go for anything crazy at the beginning. I think they're just going to be too bunched up together, and I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if the first lap is probably not far off where they started on the grid. There might be the odd one move, but I'd be very, very surprised if they're chucking it down in the inside into 2, 3 and 4. Right? It'll be a very brave man and lady, should we say, to be able to do that.
From what we've seen so far this season, James, it doesn't really matter if there's an orange zone or if we go back into just normal racing. These drivers have been able to do cleanly. The orange zone is just there for safety. But honestly, let's be honest, James, I personally feel that these drivers don't need it. They know perfectly well where the limit is of the car, where the limit is of the other car that they're fighting with, because they have so much experience already. So, personally, I feel like they don't really need it, but it's just there just to be sure if you do have the odd one out that just absolutely sends it going down into the chicanes. So, it's I personally, like I said, don't feel like they need it, but it might be a good thing that it is then.
Yeah, I think it's not, this isn't the only series we cover that's got an orange zone. In the other series, they've got a purple zone, of course, in a Formula 3 race. But then again, they're talking 60 cars on track. We're talking 29 here. So I think they're there for a reason, and I fully understand why leagues put them in. And, as you say, they want to make sure that it's clean. It's like the single file start. It's not something that you see in every series due to the fact that obviously people want to see racing when they come off the start, but people don't want to be ending their races into turn 1. They want to be able to get through and settle down and enjoy it, and I think overall that's what they're trying to achieve here. JT Tammy currently on track coming into the stadium section. It's going to be interesting and exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how these cars get on, and that Mustang looks amazing, so I think it's going to be definitely an exciting one here as well. And JT Tammy leads us around currently at the moment, goes across the line 209.040, so there we go.
It's pretty interesting, James, that in Formula 1 they are doing the complete opposite of what we've just talked about. If in Formula 1 you crash at the first corner, they kind of, they take the penalty way lighter on you than it would be if it was the lap after. So, yeah, interesting to just see how it evolves, and I do think that it is a good thing, because how many endurance races have we seen where drivers just being ended at turn number 1 because someone sent it up the inside and someone just wanted to be cautious. So it's a good thing, however, Jeffrey is not being cautious at all. This is what I said, it can be over in a blink. That was one example of that, and so it doesn't matter who you are. If you're leading by 2 minutes, a crash like that, James, is going to put you out of this race. It's going to be a race that you need to survive. Earlier on in the green room, we were talking about that too, that it is so easy to lose the car just like that going into one of the chicanes, and especially with the higher speeds that these GT1s are running, so easy to lose it and just not have any control of it, be a passenger in your own car, really.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the catches. That's obviously, with Jeffrey coming down from high speed down into trying to get it through the chicane here. I think it's always going to be tough. We've got JT Tammy with purple in sector 2, green in sector 1. Let's see what they're going to be able to do going across the line. But it's always going to be difficult coming from that high speed area down into that slow speed there as well. And Tammy is going to be going across the line. It goes across the line in a 208.995. Is currently in pole position. Jeffrey Ellis there on 209.040 behind Peter Meyer, 209.788. And then we get into the 2-minute 10s further back on that one. So, you know, JT Tammy's point of view, he's done what he needs to do.
Job is not done yet. 3 minutes left in the qualifying session for the LMGT2s. So it is still provisional pole position, but he's looking strong. However, those 45 thousandths of a second could well be undone, and Smith goes to the pole position, James, at a 207.108. 1.8 seconds quicker than JT Tammy behind him. That's a massive gap.
Yeah, the track is definitely rubbering in. They were talking about it earlier on as well, saying that how it takes a little bit of time to rubber in. The fastest times will probably look at it coming in there at the end of the session, as you can see from Smith on a 207.108 there. Definitely bringing out the true factor of that one here. So an absolutely stellar job from Ross Smith. So he's going to be flying along quite nicely. We'll have to see if there's anyone with a reply. And we'll see what JT Tammy is going to be able to do. He has got green on the board at the moment. So he's going to have to see how it goes. Jeffrey Ellis is into the pits there. So he's going to, end of his qualifying session and done and dusted. So let's see how it goes here with JT Tammy. Whether or not he's going to be able to get through his second green sector, which means he's going fastest overall. JT there, takes a bit of the dirt, comes around the final corner now. Let's see what JT's going to get onto the board. Best lap 208.995. He does improve, but he's still 1 second behind Ross Smith, 208.178. There, Dave Cole's going across the line at 209.920. It looks like JT Tammy's got a lot to do here, Dan, to try and keep up with Ross Smith. It's almost like trying to watch Magnus Dahlgren in the front group and take the 2.5 lead that he's got at the moment.
Well, Tammy is actually still quite close in perspective to everyone else in his class to Smith. So JT Tammy himself, we don't have to forget, James, is about 8.5 tenths ahead of Jeffrey Ellis behind him. So it isn't like in comparison to the drivers behind him that he's slow at all. It's just Ross Smith who's put in a lap time that I think for everyone is going to be very difficult to beat. Not only Tammy, Ellis, but just everyone in that GT2 class.
Yeah, I think overall the the gap times are not too bad. Obviously Filippo Marazzi there down in 9th place now is 5.7 seconds back. You know, that 1 second gap over 37 laps means it's going to be 37 seconds behind. Technically, if you do some quick maths as well, he's going to, if that's the way it runs, of course, we obviously know that that's not entirely consistent and sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be an interesting one here from Smith's point of view. If he's going to be able to get the jump on JT Tammy, and if he can put in them lap times consistently, I don't think he's going to be touchable basically. You see some of the GT1s are coming out onto the track now. So, he's on the grass. Why are you on the grass there with the Bruin?
I think we saw the same that we saw at the start of the GT2 practice too, or practice qualifying, excuse me, and a car at the front of the field not wanting to get to the start-finish line as quickly as possible, or as quick as all the other cars want, and that just checks everyone up. Cars having to take avoiding action, a bit of a small mess on the exit of pit exit, but we all got through, no contact. That's, I think, the main part there.
Yeah, it definitely is. They don't want to be doing themselves any damage here right at the beginning. Francesco Koskas is out on track currently. He's just coming round turns well, round coming into the stadium, so it's 9, 10 and 11 at the moment before he runs round here for Francesco Koskas. This is coming into the stadium section. It's an interesting thing looking at this layout of this circuit when we're used to, you know, the Hockenheim ring with a parabolica at the end and, you know, all the old style layout, to come to somewhere like this all of a sudden and sit back and think, actually, this is what it was like. Whether or not nostalgia plays a part, I think, there, Dan, and whether or not you would want to see this track back in the calendar in its current state.
Yeah, like, let's be honest, James, there are so many tracks that were on the Formula 1 calendar back in the day that just to today's standards are not safe by any means anymore. The only track that has really gone unchanged, and even that has got safety upgrades, is Monaco. You still have the track like it was back in the day, and even that one has got massive safety upgrades. So yeah, every track has been changing, it has been evolving, just like the cars have been. The cars have gotten way safer too. So I think it's a good development, but for everyone who was watching, of course, Formula 1 back in the day, definitely some nostalgia to come back to this track, especially in these sports cars. They're absolutely amazing around every track that they go to. It doesn't matter if you're going around Daytona, Le Mans, Hockenheim, all these tracks, seeing this car and track combination again just is absolutely amazing. And the fact that we have so many cars out on track, the fact that we have so many people interested in racing these cars, just tells you how big the support was that they had back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. With 29 cars on track here, Francesco Koskas has got purple in Sector 1 and is currently coming down now into the stadium section. We have to see how they get on and whether or not he can keep up that fast pace that he's got currently at the moment. Purple in Sector 2 as well, but overall I don't think the first time he's going to do on the board is going to be the fastest time. I think that might change as it goes on, as we saw in the GT qualifying there, Dan, as well. I think this is yeah, definitely one for the boards there. That Concourse does go across the line with John Ewan behind it, Gilles Lalonde, Ethan Funk setting times as well. Concas there, 158.146. Ewan on a 157.916. Felipe Enrique in third, Ethan Funk fourth, Alex Garrick in fifth, and Gilles Lalonde in sixth. George Andalides goes across the line in seventh place on a 159.854. John Ewan 157.916, so 3.0 seconds there currently at the moment on the board. 1.9 back to Angelides in 8th place. So big spread here, and we got Magnus Dahlgren out on track as well, Dan. Obviously Magnus set the fastest lap time in practice session. Going to be interested to see how Dahlgren gets on as he comes through the stadium section into turn 13, the left-hander. He's going to go round, get on the gas, see how he copes on the exit out. Manages to stay off the curb on the right-hand side. We've seen some people spin there in other series, of course, regardless of the track. The Hockenheim track is obviously, they use a lot of the new layouts in some of the other series as well. And obviously that high curb on the exit there of turn 13 does want to cause a problem. But let's see how Dahlgren has done.
This whole track, James. Sorry, go on.
157.916. But yeah, it's a target time there, but nothing on the board for Magnus Dahlgren currently. So
no, he was on an outlap.
Fastest lap now.
Yeah, he was on an outlap before, James, and he's just now gone for a quick lap. He's left it very late. Something that I do want to point out is the fact that turn 1 on this old layout is so much more unforgiving than it is in the new layout. Of course, in the new layout you have about 20 million kilometers of runoff at turn 1, which gets used more than the track itself, I think, down at turn 1. So it's a bit of an interesting one, seeing how the drivers cope with it, especially since the track limits are so close to the curb. It's a curb and then immediately grass, as it was back in the day. So interesting to see how they handle it, and you can't go wide, so that's, I think, a good thing that we then have an orange zone, like we said, because turn 1, how it is on this old layout, is very much a lot trickier than it is in the current day. However, Magnus Dahlgren, purple in sector 1, green in sector number 2, is left in very late, doesn't have a lot of room for error, needs that quick lap as soon as possible, James.
Yeah, coming around turn 13. So he's coming out the other side now. Let's see how he gets on. What sort of lap time are we going to see from Dahlgren? Second to last corner. It's going to be going across the line very, very shortly. And what lap time are we going to have on the board from Magnus Dahlgren? Goes on to pole on a 1:57.162, 8/10 near enough faster than John Uyan, another person who is absolutely flying along. So, yeah, 7/10 back there down as well. Magnus Dahlgren's looking like another man that could be up for the nice little victory here this afternoon.
Dahlgren, however, like we said, 7/10 ahead of the field. Ewan, Suvik, Concas, and Rick, all very close to each other. Those three covered by 3/10 of a second exactly. So with those three, we could have had, or we could have an amazing battle, especially with these long straights and slipstream that evens out the pack a bit. We could have a very nice battle for P2, well, throughout this whole race basically, especially with pit stop strategies. But look how John Ewan, and look at that Panos GTR1 bounces over the curb. These GT1s, it almost looks like they hit the rebound on the top of their, well, they hit the max on the rebound on their suspension. That's how it looks in these GTs. So a pretty interesting one there.
John Uyan trying to make it maximise as much of the track as he possibly can, and did an absolutely stellar job in that one, of course, as he's coming on the run now. Let's see how he gets on into the stadium section. He's up in sector 2 there, green in sector 1. It's going to be a close one here with John Uyan in the Panos. Is he going to be able to get round this last corner safely without any issues? He does. We'll keep an eye on the score. Yeah, he's trying to find as much as he can on the exit there as well. What time is he going to get on the board? No. Did not improve on that one. Last lap, yep. 1:57.954. Sector 3 was not John Uyan's friend there, and unfortunately he lost it on that one. So unfortunately for John Uyan, he's going to have to go again and see what he can do here as well. And it's going to be an exciting one.
Sector 2 seems to be where Dahlgren is struggling the most with that car. So Sector 2 is one chicane, one very quick chicane, and one really long-lasting right-hand corner. So an interesting one there, to say the least. And I don't know why he would be struggling that much in a sector where you technically turn the wheel about 3 or 4 times.
Well, the exit out of the hairpin in the stadium, of course, which is effectively turn 13 on this layout. The exit out of there is always going to be difficult. If they run a little bit wide on the exit, they're going to catch the curb and that little tuft of grass after the curb, but it's going to slow them down, of course. So, you know, it's physical logic that obviously if they're going to hit the curb on something, it's going to not be able to be the same as if they're on the road in general. Obviously, we use curbs, don't get me wrong. You know, I understand that they use the curbs and stuff, but when you go off the curb and onto the grass, it's not a good idea there, really, either. So, from Uyan's point of view, he's got to tidy up that exit out of 13 to be able to get a clean run round. Now, you can see it coming down here as well. It's purple in 2 again. He's got to come round this particular corner and watch his exit. He's got to try and manage the exit in a way where he doesn't hit the curb like that, and around he goes and continue on to his lap there as well. So a lot better exit for John Uyan. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a lot closer than what he got last time out. We're just waiting for the time as he comes across the board. Tightens up the exit out of the final corner. What is 1:57.629, half a second back currently, closer than what he was. So improvements, that's all that matters.
It is, but also being John Ewan, it would be a good confidence boost being able to beat Dahlgren. However, Dahlgren has set one lap, James, and has gone back in. Magnus Dahlgren, and is he going to improve this time round once again after coming out? He is. 56.217. He said to the rest of the field, well, you go for it in the beginning of this qualifying. I'll just leave you to it, and I'll just do it when it matters, really. Up into provisional pole position, which will be pole position for the start of this race.
Yeah, Magnus Dahlgren now on a 156.217. John Uyan 157.629. Literally 1.4 seconds back from what Magnus Dahlgren has done. And he was looking quick. It was looking very, very fast. And he did an absolutely stellar job there. And he was quick in practice. And that's all that he brought it into qualifying, which is what we expected. So let's see. But I think Magnus Dahlgren could be up for a good race here if he can get away at the beginning.
We're going to see. It's, as always, a pretty interesting battle at the front of the pack. And I'm going to look forward to how they handle it. It's not going to be as easy as some people might think it is looking at the track map. Because let's be honest, James, if you look at the track map of this track, you think, well, it is 3 straights with 2 chicanes in it. And then you have the first corner and a bit of a stadium section. It can't be that hard. Now, let me tell you, with these older cars, they are very unforgiving. So every bump that they go over, you could potentially, if you take it in the wrong way, it could potentially be race ending for you. So it is a lot more difficult than a lot of people think by a first glance at the track map and the cars. So don't be fooled by the fact that it is just 3 straights with 2 chicanes sitting in the stadium section. It is still a very, very, very hard track to drive at.
Yeah, and as I say, not one that people are consistent with there as well. And
you almost can't be. It's too bumpy.
Exactly.
You can't be consistent at this track. You can be within half a second to 7/10 of your own time, but you'll be a very good driver to be consistently within 2-3 tenths of your own time at this very bumpy track with traffic.
Well, I think the interesting thing is the fact that Magnus Dahlgren's managed to do it twice now. He did it obviously in practice. He did it in qualifying. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be able to get near his time in the race itself. So I think, I'm not going to write out Dahlgren for be able to do it. I think he's got a great shot at it and a great opportunity. With that amount of gap, with that amount of time he's got on the board, it's definitely making people more harder. Definitely looking like it's going to be harder for people to catch him than it would be if they were in, 10ths of each section there as well. But I believe we are ready for the standings of qualifying. So we'll wait for them to come up on to our screen. As you can see, Magnus Dahlgren in first, John Uyan second, Francesco Concas third. Timon Suvic is there on the second row in 4th place. In 5th, we've got Felipe Enrique, Ethan Funk next to each other on Tom Lane and Gilles Lalonde in 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th is Alec Garrick and Wouter De Bruin. Then we've got Wayne Hutchinson, George and Angelidis there down, obviously, in the LMGT AMS. Becky Ely and Mark Jones with Alexander Schultz and Mike Olsen down in 16th place. And then beyond that, we've got Barry Dimarzo, Tom Mountjoy, Ross Smith, and JT Tammy. Ross Smith there leading the LMGT2s. So he will be on pole there. And then beyond that, we've got Peter Meyer, Jeffrey Ellis, Vasilis Katarinakis, and Matthew Overton in 23rd and 24th. Then beyond that, we've got Dave Kors, Eugene Majeur, Felipe Marazzi, and Brian Hall in 27th and 28th. And I believe there's one more in the back from that, and that's Maximilian Petravsky in 29th place. So that would bring out the grid there, ready for us. See how to get on. The drivers are in their little brief warm-up. driver chat, having a conversation. Please be gentle. Don't go and crash. That would be ideal. Nobody really needs that. Well, let's see. What do we reckon's on the discussion table, Dan? It's like being over the dinner table. What do we reckon? What are they going to be talking about?
I think traffic is going to be one. Because it's such high speed, it's going to be interesting how the GT ones are going to cope with that traffic. Now, GT2s, usually what they say, James, just stay predictable. Don't do any unnecessary things that you don't need to do once a car is passing you. You don't have to make way, but if it does help, it's always nice to do so. And it helps yourself and the quicker car too. So you don't need to do it, but it might be of your own benefit.
Yeah, that brings in a lot of discussions about slow cars. We've had it, boy oh boy, in multiple discussions, in multiple broadcasts, in multiple series about what's best, what's not best, what should they do, what not they should they do. And I think that's going to be one of the conversations, of course. And then obviously coming down, I'm sure they're discussing about each other's antics about, down into the braking zones. Please be careful because you are going to struggle here. It's a very twisty circuit. In conjunction with the fact that you can't go not side by side into the chicane because it will be deaf. So please be sensible what you're going to be able to do. As you say, that predictability from the slower cars. But overall, I'm sure they're going to be patting each other on the back down and say, congratulations, well done, and hope you all have a good race. Or they're going to be discussing the fact that Magnus Dahlgren is so far ahead that maybe they're talking about who's going to come in second and third.
Well, it would be a realistic thing to do if the race just goes as planned for Dahlgren. But like I said earlier on, usually it doesn't at this track. Now, a question that I have for you, do you still think the same about the fact that slower cars should brake for the quicker cars to get through?
What do you mean brake? Now, I think there's been some misinterpretation of what we were talking about the other day. Now, when we said about the fact of braking, right? Going down a straight, okay? So if you're on the run out of turn 1 down into turn 2 and you're being lapped, okay? You're not battling anyone. You're not nowhere near anyone. You're not likely to catch the person in front. You're not likely to be overtaken from the person behind. Is it worth running the faster car down into the braking zone? Well, the answer to that one is no. Now, the conversation about braking was about whether or not they should be lifting off to allow the faster cars through in a more convenient position, to allow them to take their racing line into the corners. To me, that makes logical sense.
But when would you do that?
If you're going down the straight like now, right? If you're going down the straight now and there's a faster car a second behind, but it's going to be close coming into the chicane, why am I going to run that faster car right down into the chicane? I'm going to lift, move over, and allow him to continue on his way without me being a roadblock. I think that there's no point at in any sort of anybody's conversation or conversational brain that if you're not in a battle with anybody, or if you are in a battle, it's going to happen to the car in front as well. So just lift and allow them through. Don't run them down into a chicane. Just try and stay in front of them when you're nowhere near anyone. It just doesn't make logical sense. And I think, to me, that's where I compute differently and work differently in a way that I would literally just lift. Because I sit there and think, well, I'm not going to lose anything any different. So what's the point of me trying to battle a car down into a chicane that is going to want to get past me in the next run anyway?
I agree with that to the certain extent that if you know the car is going to be alongside you in the braking zone, 100%. It's better for you and the car that is going to lap you to lift off, not brake. Because if you brake, that can cause very dangerous situations. So I would always prefer to lift. And if you do brake just about enough that it engages the braking lights, just to show that you're slowing down, or just indicate to the right hand side or left hand side, whatever side you want to go to let the quicker car through, and do it that way. But I always think that braking is not the way of doing it, because if you're braking in a straight line And that is also what it is in most rule books. You're not predictable anymore. They don't predict and they don't expect you to brake in a straight line. So I think lifting is always the better option there. Now, if it is very late on and you notice it very late on, I think it's better to just take the pain and try and run him into the corner, because it's already too late to panic brake and let the car by, because you're going to cause a huge incident if you do that. So that's also why it is important to keep an eye on your mirror when you are driving multi-class, I think, because you always want to know what is coming up behind you. So that is why it's so important to and especially in sim racing, you have the aid of a relative that helps you with that, and something that you don't have in the real life cars. You have engineers that tell you where the drivers are and things like that. But especially in the simulator, use your relative wisely. So use it in a way that you know, and especially this comes with experience. Use it in a way that you know, okay, this driver at this point on the track is a second behind me. I know that when I just run normally, he's going to be alongside me going into the braking zone. So it's better if I just lift off here and allow him through before the braking zone, so we both lose minimal amount of time.
Yeah, that's the point. But that's not always what we see. There's a difference between what we see and what can happen as well. We've seen GT3s run an LMP2 down into a chicane, and you're just sitting there thinking, from a commentator's perspective, I'm sitting there thinking, what are you getting out of that? I don't know. I sometimes physical understanding doesn't make sense to me, and then but it's them people that will then go in and moan about being taken out by a faster car. Well, you took me out into the corner. Well, what do you expect? You didn't lift, you run him into the corner, and then you moan when he dives you. Well, now common sense means slow down, move over.
There is nothing that says you have to move over. There is,
or not even move over, just slow down.
No, but there is something in the rule book that says the quicker car has to pass the slower car safely. That's not the line.
Yeah, but there are also the lines that come at the end of it that says the slower car must facilitate the pass. It doesn't say the slower car must run him down into a tight corner and then wonder why he got dived going into the hairpin. Well,
No, but also
logic. You know what I mean? Logic has got to tell you to. I can't. Let me look back and see if at any point going into that corner. Oh, dude, you're not having a good time now. I'm not going to lie. You might want to. I don't know if you've got a track map or what the situation is, but that car is not looking good. But logic tells you to, if you get taken out by a faster car into a hairpin, and you had about 10 seconds of straight where you could have lifted, logic would tell you you're the problem. So
now,
that's my opinion on that situation. And honestly, Dan, we could be at it all day.
If we shift perspective, James, and we look from the quicker car, which is something that we haven't done so far. I think we've talked a lot from the slower car perspective. But if we look from the quicker car, and that's the last thing I'm going to say about it, because like I said, we could be here all day. Is it worth the risk of you diving down the inside? If you are first by 20 seconds, is it worth the risk to dive down the inside? You have to ask that yourself too, if you were in the quicker car. Like, is it worth me risking my race to gain half a second on the car behind instead of just taking it safely through that corner?
No, I think that's where logic in a car comes from both ways, right? It comes from the driver in the faster car and the guy in the slower car. Okay, the word facilitate means you've got to make it as simple as possible where both of you don't end up being taken out, right? The faster car's got to sit there and think, okay, so if I'm going into a part of the circuit that I'm going to end up being stuck behind this car for absolutely ever, then obviously the impatience in that faster driver will make that move, right? It's common sense. If he's into a corner, so he's going into the stadium section, he's coming on that run down into turn 13. On the exit of 13, he's going to be looking to try and get past because it's a natural carry on of speed. He's not going to want to stay behind him until he gets onto the straight 60. it takes common sense from both drivers, I think, to really make a pass work when you're in multi-class. I think, you know, slower drivers got to be a careful, pay attention to your relative. You know you're going to be caught. Maybe try and facilitate it, lift. Is an idea. Faster cars, maybe patience is a virtue. Who knows? But overall, I think there's going to be a lot of to in and fro in, and one that, as I say, this conversation can go on all day. Chat will probably, you know, you can feel chat up with the amount of times that they're coming into a conversation and going, blue flag should mean this, blue flags mean every single series across all, that's not good, across multiple sims have different rules for blue flags. Some run on the F1 rules. Move out of the way at your earliest convenience or jump out of the way, depending on which way you read the F1 rules. Some have, you can pass at your earliest convenience. He's off again, unfortunately. He's not doing too well, though. He's seen a long parts of the circuit, and not all of them have been on the grade stuff. That's a Viper this time, mind you, so that's a different one altogether. But, you know, we're not in the car. We're never going to be able to go control what these drivers think. You know, they're drivers at the end of the day. You want to try and tell a racing driver advice when you're not even one? Yeah. Nah, it's never going to happen. So there's a lot to. It's on the grass again.
Some drivers even have difficulty listening to their own racing engineer, let alone listening to some nonsense talking people up in the booth that only know how to talk about the racing instead of giving drivers tips.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You know, from a driver's perspective, they're only going to know what they're going to do. Yeah. We can sit here and give our opinion, and we can sit here and give our opinions on it and say, look, this is, you know, gentlemen, be sensible. But at the end of the day, they're the only ones who's going to be able to, yeah, they'll do what they want to do. So I think that's the thing there as well. So, you know, just have to see how it turns out throughout the race.
We've both been in a car though, James. So we know how frustrating it sometimes gets.
Yeah, definitely. We do. But then it's that different mindset of driving. Yeah. You know, I've, touch wood, never had the pleasure of being punted off by an LMP due to the fact that I live by the Formula One blue flag rules. Can we remove yourself from the way? You know, so it's, yeah, different scenario. For us and other people. Right, we do see the cars coming out on grid. So let's see how they get on here as well. Drivers know best. Yeah, that's the thing, Mr. Sweeney, they do. But not always the right decision gets made. So, yeah. Sometimes causes more problems than it needs to. To wait. Okay, guys, we're gonna be right back very, very shortly. Okay, guys, we are back in. The cars are still getting onto the grid, so we will wait for them to finish gridding up, of course, ready to go before we go into this race. Yeah, we'll bring you up the starting order once more. So Magnus Dahlgren will be on pole position. John Uyan will be in second. Francesco Concas third. Timon Suvic will be in fourth. Behind that, of course, got Felipe and Enrique and Ethan Funk in fifth and sixth. Tom Lane seventh, and Gilles Lalonde will be eighth. Going on to Alex Garrick in 9th, Ruta De Bruyne in 10th, Wayne Hutchinson 11th, and George Angelidis will be down in 12th place. Becky Ely and Mark Jones round out 13th and 14th. Alexander Schultz is 15th. Mike Olsen will be 16th. Barry Dimarzo and Tom Mountjoy round out 17th and 18th place. Ross Smith and JT Tammy will be in 19th and 20th. Peter Meyer, Jeffrey Ellis, Vasilis Kataranakis and Matthew Overton are your 23rd to 24th place. On from there, we've got Dave Gores in 25th, Eugene Mazur in 26th, Felipe Marazzi 27th, Brian Hall is in 28th. And then in 29th place, Maximilian Petrovsky is the last man on the grid, ready to go here. We are out. Maximilian's in the pits currently at the moment. Not quite sure what the reasoning is on that one. As these guys are going out on their pace lap, coming down into turns 2, 3 and 4.
Did he set a lap time in qualifying, James? That's what I'm asking myself, because it looks like the way he was behind a GTP, or a GT1, excuse me, looks to me like he didn't set a lap time.
Yeah.
Because there was a GT1, I think second to last, and I think it only gets there by not setting a lap time, really. If it did set a lap time, I think it would have been for sure faster than the GT2s around here. So if he did...
I am talking. Here we go. As they go round 5, 6 and 7 there, as they get told off by Paul in our ear hole. Here. They're coming around now. Going to be getting
Paul,
ready.
Though, James. He's been going to the gym lately, I've heard, so he's walking up.
He's out there with his 16 eggs and his 7 chickens for breakfast. As it goes along here, the cars are going down into 11, 9, 10, 11.
There you go.
Oh, poor old Paul. Poor old Paul getting a little bit of grief in the background here. So it's a good job you can't hear him, really. The joys of having a producer in your ear. You know what I mean? And you guys not being able to hear it, we can say things. Yeah, and he can just sit there and cringe in the background as we talk in the booth. Right, here we go. For this finishing off this pace lap. Well done. 38 laps plus this one. It's going to be exciting. Who's going to come out on top? Personally, I think it's going to be Dahlgren, Smith, Angelidis.
Personally, mate, I wouldn't know. It is so unpredictable, and I'm going to leave it to the racing gods to decide in the end who's going to finish first, because you can't predict anything on this track, really.
Right, well, as we leave down with Splinters on the fence, once more, going around
I'd rather Splinters than some mad drivers.
Yeah, I just think Dahlgren's going to be able to get away, and I think Smith's got too much pace for the group, so I think he's going to be looking. So, and as we've seen with Angelidis, you know, anything can happen. So, we have got a car into the pit lane there. Slightly short on that one, but we are going to be underway here. The cars are going to go across the line, and it is time to go racing here at the Hockenheim. And currently Magnus Dahlgren is out in front, flying along here, and that was the start. Now that was the start he needed there, Dan. No problems for Magnus Dahlgren at all. Got away. He's got John Uyan up behind him, about 2 tenths currently at the moment, but I can't see Uyan getting close to him. I think it's going to be hard for him there as well. And then going back here to the GTs, is Ross Smith making his first start as well. And Ross Smith flying along quite nicely and out in front at the moment. So all in all, a nice clean start. Job done for all of them. And well done to them guys for getting away cleanly. but Magnus Dahlgren with John Green tucked up right behind him. Very tight corner there. We're going to have people down into the tyre barrier. That's going to be the interesting one. But currently, as of yet, no. Everybody seems to be through cleanly.
A good start so far, and what John Ewan now needs to do, James, is try and hang on to the slipstream of Dahlgren, try and lift with the slipstream of that Toyota ahead of it, the Toyota GD1. Because Magnus Dahlgren has been proving to be very quick. As in the background, I think we have one of the panels cars off. There's a bit of chaos in the background, but they all seem to get through nicely into the stadium section. Magnus Dahlgren got the start that he needed in the GT2s. Of course, also was a good start, clean start. Nothing really happened as you have a car off the track. I don't know who that is, but Smith in the GT2s got a really good start. And Tom Montjoy not really enjoying himself, is he?
Tom Mountjoy there in the Porsche 911 GT1 off currently in the chicane. So unfortunately for him, not a good opening lap to him, especially as the GT2's gone past him there as well. Back to live pictures here, and he's up and running still. So there we go, all good there for Dahlgren, still out in front, pulling out nearly a second gap, which was flying along nicely. He's just going to use his first few laps to open up the wheels on that car and make some incredible moves here. You see how tight it is going through that chicane there. One mistake and you're in that tyre barrier, and it is all going to go wrong. And now head to the replay.
Oh, this is Ferrari Barry Dimarzo, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going straight through, goes round, weaves round. Then up he goes quite nicely there for Barry Dimarzo. He took a different line through the chicanes at other people, and has now settled down there as well, gone through with no issues whatsoever for Barry. But John Uyan here trying to keep up, six steps back. It looks like he may have had a better middle sector.
Like I said, James, it's not as easy for Dahlgren to run away in the race. That slipstream is kind of equalizing a lot of the things here. So as long as you can stay in that slipstream range, he will be there or thereabout on the Toyota.
Yeah, he's got to try and make sure he keeps it on track, you know, and because that's going to be the first mission for him, is to be able to keep it on track. Petrosky's not starting the race currently at the moment, still in the pit lane there for Maximilian. 2 laps down currently at the moment. I will have a check on penalties on that one, because I think there was
It's a bit of a
yeah, it's a bit of a long penalty situation if it is. I'd be very surprised if it was. It's generally not a 2-lap penalty there, I don't think, either.
Well, a 2-lap penalty can be seen as, you know, the thing with lap penalties, I always find them really annoying, because at some track, like this track, it can mean that you're 12 kilometers behind. Meanwhile, on a track like Zandvoort, it means that you're about, what, 8 kilometers behind maximum. So, yeah, really tricky to kind of engage that.
Oh, Tom Lane.
Oh, wow, he just flew across that chicane. That was Eric, I think, in front of him. What was that line? He just went straight through it.
Yeah, no prisoners lost there. Don't worry about corner cutting or, you know, taking the curb. Alex Garrick there just put an absolute move on Tom Lane and moved himself up into 4th place currently as well. Here's the replay.
Have a look at it.
You can see here.
Now, does he brake? Or does
Probably
he
not. I don't really see the need for it. It doesn't look like he did in any shape. He come from a very long way back here.
What a move! What a move! Unbelievable!
Yeah, just puts the car between the middle of the car and says thank you very much. I'm done. Tom Lane now under pressure again here as well from Francesco Concas behind him. As these guys come around the final corner, is it going to be a move down into turn 1? In the LMGT1s, it's Hutchinson with Angelini's in second, Tammy in first. He's got past Smith at some point there. I'm sure we will try and see where that one happened, but JT Tammy has got past Ross Smith. Is now 6 seconds out in front. Meyer leading the LMGT AMs. 4 seconds back is Mazur there. And settling down, I think from Meyer's point of view, he's just got to keep it on track now. And it will be a job done. I think this is going to be the replay of Ross losing. No, he's already too far. He's already gone through on that one. So we're a little bit further down the road than we are wanting to be. So we will go back to live pictures of JT Tammy currently out front. Ross Smith 8 tenths back behind him at the moment. Dahlgren is absolutely flying. 3.5 up the road. And it looks like Smith may have had an off track, and that's why JT Tammy got through. We are just trying to fight to see if this will pick it up, and this will be the one of Ross Smith. Oh, he just goes in too hard, runs wide on the grass. Tammy goes through.
No speed anymore.
Yeah, that's where Tammy got through on that one, and unfortunately for Smith, he's now got to do the chasing. Obviously, quality times, Smith's were a lot quicker. It's just about doing that consistently every single lap there, Dan. Smith's going to have a bit of a mission. You can have a look at what Tom Lane has been up to. Whoa! Contact with Concas. And unfortunately for Lane, he goes round and on the grass, loses a bunch of position with Tom Lane. He's now down in 13th place. But Concas there, well, joined up the back. He has got damage.
He's off again.
Yeah, stadium section there, down. He's off this time onto the grass. Definitely suffering with damage after that contact with Concas.
Into the Mobile 1 curve that was, and he's going to park it. Well, let's hope that is not the end of the race for him, but that was hard contact. I loved how just our producer here just said contact really calmly, and it was a huge contact between the two. So, yeah, found that really funny. Both quite under pressure now from Concas and P6. And these two, they've been battling so far this whole race long. 2.7 is the gap from the front to getting ahead. That gap has opened up now because in between those two boys before, well, there was a car which has now been eliminated.
Tom Lane looks like he's out on this one. Wayne Hutchinson is first in the LMGT1s. Angelides is now 8 tenths back. There is Angelides at the bottom of the screen currently at the moment. 7 tenths has got it down to. And we go back on board with Concas once more coming through the chicane. They absolutely, Wood De Bruyne gets it all out of shape and loses a place to Concas there as well. Wood De Bruyne now.
Get through too.
Yeah, he's got to try and stay on that side of the circuit or block him off going in, of course. He does stop him this time around here. Whether or not he's going to be able to hold him off the next one. Can't keep taking that grass run, I'll tell you that much. It's not going to do you any favours as you go running up into the stadium.
Oh, it's an easy one to do. If you just overshoot that chicane or get the bump a bit wrong, James, on the inside, it is very easy to just go wide onto the grass. So once one of the wheels on the left-hand side is onto that grass, that's all you want to do, James. You're not keep that one out of there by braking. You have to slow the car down, turn the car back onto the grey stuff, and that is of course going to lose you a huge amount of time. I think Boreck actually got away very well with that one, didn't lose too much time, and instead able to hang with Concas.
Yeah, De Bruyne is still settled up. He's got Funk tucked up right behind him as these guys coming down into turn 1 now. And Concas is out a little bit there as well. We saw Funk spit up a bit of dirt on the way out turn 1. Again now, obviously, as you can notice from turn 1, it's a completely different turn to what we're looking at for today's racing. Today's Hockenheim, of course, got a nice long run off. You can go out there and take as much as you want. But in the old style, it was just grass as they come through now. Concas still got the gap. De Bruyne still under attack from Funk. And he's still managing to hold on currently there, Dan.
It's going to take a lot though to hang on to this for the next 32 laps. Motor De Bruyne needs to do everything he can, tucks that car to the outside, Goes wide once again. It doesn't look like Roger Ryan has that line down like Ethan Funk does. Of course, up the road for Ethan Funk, it's his teammate Alex, who absolutely got that line nailed into that chicane. And I think he's gaining about half a second to 7/8 maybe in that chicane on the rest. Because every time you see that time drop down, and once we get to that chicane, once we arrive to that chicane, you see that time just climb about half a second to 7/10 of a second. So a huge amount of time to the game there if you de-risk it. But are you going to do that for the rest of this race? Because at some point, your luck is going to run out.
Yeah, you're always riding a luck in general here as well.
I think you've just seen that. That was either Ethan Funk, and I don't think it was Ethan Funk. It was Alex who was off the track, who's dropped back all the way to P10. Ethan Funk up into P5, and that was, I think, coming into the stadium section. I think we're going to get a replay of it. And Alex has dropped all the way back down to P10, James.
He goes round into turn 11, gets out of shape on the way in. On the grass he goes, and around he goes there, and unfortunately just gets over the barrier and bounces off the barrier. And back underway here from Alex Gehrig and Gilles Lalonde. Currently now down in 10th and 11th place. You see the train of cars there as well. Wayne Hutchinson, George Andalidis, a second apart currently at the moment. So Wayne Hutchinson managing to stay ahead of George Andalidis currently in the LMGT 1 AMS. As they go across here, we go back up front with Wout de Bruyne and Francesco Concas with behind that Mr. Ethan Funk. These three have not been very far apart whatsoever here as they go whizzing out from behind the trees, coming towards us now. You'll be able to see them, and then into the chicane they go. Francesco Concas there, taking that curb on the way in and managing to pick up a faster line on the exit. He does seem quicker going in through that chicane, get there down than Wout de Bruyne does.
That chicane has been it's been a very difficult one for some cars, and one that other cars just can absolutely slam over with the way they're set up. I think it's a setup thing or just a car related thing. One car can take the curve a bit better than the other car can, and that, especially on a chicane where you take so much curve, and when you can be that quick, if you take almost everything on the curve, could make a very big difference. Francesco Concas is off into the grass though, and he's gone all the way off to the left hand side. It has about Ethan Funk to back up into P5. Where's Concas going to come out? There in the background, I think we can see Alex who's spotting to. There's contact between Alex and I think Gilles Lalonde in the background too. It was a hard crash. Alex, I think, just spinning on the entry to the stadium section and just being collected because it's such a blind corner in that one.
Yeah, here we go. Here is the replay of this as well. It's coming in to the turn 12. You see how he gets on into the stadium section. This is the site of his incident here. It's coming through now. Does go on to the grass. Car goes off in front there. Yeah. We think there is that's not Alexander Schultz involved. See him off on the left hand side there.
Alex Gehrig, I think the teammate of Ethan Funk was caught up in that, I'm pretty sure.
Might have been up on the side there, but he's down in 15th place currently at the moment. Francesco Concas, Gilles Lalonde. Alex Gehrig is in the pits. So maybe we'll see how we get on. But Magnus Dahlgren out in front by 5.1 seconds. Timon Subic behind here on lap 9. We're going to try and have another look and see. Alex Gehrig on the outside, catches the grass, spins, and then boom, contact there as well. And unfortunately ends up on the side. Very nice situation. Can't park there though, sir.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, definitely cannot park there. Yeah, can't park there, sir. Can't leave that there. You'll get a ticket for that one. So Alex Gehrig there, unfortunately, is into the bits. But Wayne Hutchinson, George Andalidis, 3 tenths apart currently at the moment. As they're coming around to the lap, currently at one of the slower cars. Oh. giving room, and that's where we were talking. Don't run him. Don't run him. Stay out the way. Oh, so tight.
You're
So
already
tight.
alongside, so it's difficult to kind of then lift, because then that can cause real chaos, especially if there's a train behind you. Now, I do agree if it was only one car, but with a train like that, you do not suddenly want to slow down. So he was in a very difficult situation there, especially being on the outside there, James.
Yeah, it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, they call it. But Wayne Hutchinson is not with George Angelides here. Behind him, 0.8 seconds back. Currently at the moment, they're chasing each other. Wayne Hutchinson in the 29 car. And George Angelides there behind him in the 30 car. Through the chicane they go. Oh, Angelides is under pressure. George Angelides has got Concast behind him, of course. Different classes for George Angelides. Does he really need to be fighting? That brings up a different conversation altogether. For George Angelides, does he need to really try and stay in front of Concast as desperately hard as he wants to? Or, as the fact that Concast is quicker, does he then just say, yeah, there we go, son, off you go through? That's a difficult one, Dan, to be honest.
I mean, if you look at Wayne Hutchinson up ahead, if Concast is really that much faster, he can kind of use Concast to talk to the back of Wayne Hutchinson ahead of him. Now, that does allow a car to get in between him and Hutchinson, which I wouldn't want either, but this early on in the race with still 29 laps to go, you can't really go wrong with trying to let him pass. He is in a quicker class. In the LMGT1 Pro, you're in the LMGT1 Am, so different classes. So I would tow up behind him, try and use it to get back up to the back of Hutchinson.
Yeah, he has. I believe Concast has made that move past George Angelides. There was about a second gap between the last lap and Concast's lap, about 8/10 currently at the moment. De Bruyne and Ethan Front still going at each other here, side by side, coming down into turn one. Front's on that green and white. De Bruyne in the black going down, and it is De Bruyne managing to hold on now as they go on that run down into turn 2, 3 and 4. That very quick, very quick right, left, right as they're going out the other side here for Ethan Funk. Going to see how he gets on and whether or not he's going to be able to make a move over George Angelides. He's not, he's too far back currently at the moment. De Bruyne on the brakes, gets a little bit squirrely on the back there as well, and De Bruyne is on his way. Gap's now back out to 1.1 seconds. Funk had a little bit of a slow entry into turn 2, 3 and 4 and has dropped himself all the way back there as well. JT Tanner still out in front of the LMGT2s with Ross Smith 1.2. Hutchinson still Evangelides by 2.3 and Dahlgren still 6 seconds out in front in the LMGT1s. In the LMGT2s, Maya is ahead from Missouri by 6.3 seconds currently at the moment. John Van der Geest, check. The sim is R factor. It is John here as well. So this is R factor. So there we go. And we have got JT Tammy with Ross Smith. I'm very surprised at Smith's pace, you know, in that, because qualified is dominant. You know, I'm just very shocked that he's not managed to turn it on in the race. Maybe he's managing the pace, I'm not sure, but he's 1.7 seconds back at the moment.
If we see later on into the race, maybe JT Tanny opening up that gap a bit, we might get to see a different pace, but it might be just the race pace of that Marcos against that Mustang, because usually the Marcos, from what I know and the information that I have gathered, is the fact that the Marcos is usually quicker during race trim and not during qualifying trim. So the fact that he could be close at least is something that is very promising. Now also, yeah, it's a tricky one for Smith and for Tammy. You got to manage it, but you don't want to play too many games this early on.
No, I think you've got to be careful of what your race pace and that will do. But at the same time, you don't want to be drifting back. You know, from Tammy's point of view, he wants to try and keep that gap to Smith. He doesn't want to get back into Smith's clutches. Ethan Funk is nearly in Woo of the Boyne's clutches. He's got the gap down to about 7/10. But this seems to be where Funk loses a little bit of time. Not this time around. He got a lot better exit than Woo of the Boyne did. And they're now going to be flying up into turn 9, 10 and 11. Yeah. So let's see what Ethan Funk can do. Is he going to be able to get Woo of the Boyne? Yeah, Woo of the Boyne just looks like he's opening up the gap. He's come down to 2 attempts. We go in now. We go left. Then we're going to go right. We're going to go look at a better run again. Here we go for Ethan Funk. Is this his opportunity? Can he get alongside him into turn 12? Not recommended, mind you, as we come into the stadium section now. On the brakes, we want to try and keep it off the grass on the outside. Make sure we hook up the inside. Here we go. Funk's going to try and ride him around the outside. He's not. De Bruyne chops him off, coming into 12. Funk is tucked up right behind him here on the nose of Funk. We're going to go left. Here we go. And then right. Going to try and stay together for the last 2 corners, 15 and 16. Ethan Funk battling down with Woo of the Boyne. He's tucked up right behind him. Here we go now. On that run down into turn 1. I think De Bruyne is going to hang on to this one for another lap. But how much longer, Dan, do we think he's going to be able to do it?
Oh, well, De Bruyne has been keeping him behind for quite a long while now. And I already expected by this time for Ethan Funk to be through on Woo of the Boyne. So the gap has kind of stayed similar on 2/3 of a second. And it doesn't seem like the Nissan is able to pull alongside the Mercedes in the straight.
Yeah, that Nissan's better under braking, but the Mercedes-Benz CL seems a lot quicker down the straight he goes. The Nissan looks like he's got the braking zones hooked up, and but then you just see the Merc just pull away. He's 4 tenths out currently at the moment. So, yeah, I think Funk there just compromises his exit on that one. And unfortunately, does struggle as he goes over the curb, bounces again. Looking at trying to close up once more. Gap's now back out to 1.4 seconds. Not a good set of chicanes there. Go up to JT Tamik, still leading Ross Smith by 1.5 in the battle for the LMGT2s here. It did drop, but it's now gone back up out to 1.7 seconds there, Dan. And unfortunately for Ross Smith, he's just not quite showing the pace.
I feel like early on we were thinking about Ross Smith managing this, but it's surprising since the Marcos usually in race trim as quickly than the Mustang. So the fact that he was that far ahead in qualifying, like I said, was already very worrying. So it's good that JT Tammy is able to keep up, because I expected out of those drivers, especially Ross Smith and Marcos, to be absolutely bolting at the start, and that it would just bolt off into the distance. Never be seen again by any of the GT3s really. So it's good that we have a fight. Now I do expect later on in the race, especially once pit stops come in, that Marcos will come in.
Yeah, I definitely believe so here as well. As Tom Lane is in YouTube chat, decided to pull over, suspension was done. Impossible control would have taken people out. Oh, Barry Dimarzo spinning into the pit lane there. Unfortunately, Barry Dimarzo pulled it down. Yeah, pulled it down there, not being able to get into the pits without having an incident. I don't know if you've done that. Have you done that before, Dan?
No, not that I know of. No, I can't recall anything happening. No active memories of something like that happening, to be honest, no. Yeah, the Nürburgring,
are you
beautiful
sure?
track. Yeah, no, the Nürburgring, I think, a beautiful track, but it never existed really. Yeah, I have done that. If you do want to see it, there is a very painful YouTube short on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Go and have a look at it, have some fun, laugh at a commentator driving everything off his body to get up into the position where he was, and absolutely ruining it into the pit lane like a commentator does.
Yeah, unfortunately for that, it was caught on camera. So there we go.
And I couldn't park there.
Yeah, couldn't park there, sir. John Van der Geest there with a 1998 track. Well, John, you were nearly close. It's the 1992 to 2001 circuit, so close enough there as well. Stuart Barge should be, since this mod and series is based on the WSC 1998. Yes, it is. but the track itself was in use between 92 and 2001 to when it was changed to its current design that it is at the moment, of course, cutting out the forest section, as we know, and not using that as well. So there we go. Unfortunately there.
Now I can see why he's put in 1988.
Because
The track, well, no, the track didn't really change a lot between 1988 and 1993, really, because 1992 was of course the change when they came in, and then the changes were, well, they weren't really massive, so I can see why you say 1988.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand. As Becky Ely is into the pits. So Becky will be taking a pit stop. George Angelidis here, 28 seconds behind. Obviously, he's got Wayne Hutchinson behind him as well. I believe Hutchinson has also, if I'm not mistaken, pitted. He has. So George Angelidis has as well, according to my sheet. So Hutchinson has not pitted. Did he have an incident to drop down into third then? Because he was out in front, Wayne Hutchinson. And if he hasn't pitted, he's a long way back. Yeah, I've got on my, I've got it down. Yes, yeah, I think we both would agree it's his pitted, isn't we? Wayne
I've got it down
Hutchinson.
on my timer screen at least.
Yeah, we'll try and give the overlay a bit of a kick in the background there. I'm sure Paul's out the back with his hammer, giving it a bit of a bash, and it's still not made any difference there, unfortunately, as well. So Wayne Hutchinson has pitted. That is why he is so far back. But I'm quite surprised he's that far back, Dan, I think, after a pit stop.
Maybe? Do you think that maybe some people would take the tyres and some others would have not taken tyres? I don't know, it looks like with the speed that he's gaining at the moment on Ely ahead of him, it's very likely that he didn't take tyres. Now, 24 seconds is a big gap to overcome. He also has a lot of laps still to do so.
Well, Hutchinson's pit stop was a lot longer than everybody else. We're being notified here, so maybe he did have damage there. Becky Ely going past with JT Tammy. I've got a replay.
Oh, Walter De Bruyne, have you forgotten to pit, sir? I think he has. Well then, that's an interesting one. The stewards will be looking at that. I can remember a 7-time world champion doing the same 2 years in a row. So surely Walter De Bruyne can do it, can't he?
Surely Dan Peoples can do it as well. If
I
Dan can do it, anyone can.
I wouldn't even make the pit entry line, James.
We're with De Bruyne here, not having a good one. He's off. Through he goes.
Has he pitted? Has he stopped in his box? That's my question.
He hasn't. He hasn't got it registered down as a pit stop. But also, you wouldn't do that, would you?
I don't know. For some strange reason, he's not taking on his. He's not taking on his pit stop. While he did make that last late move for the pits. Now, did that maybe just by doing that immediately give him a drive-through? Because I know that with our Factor 2, if you do have a drive-through, you cannot pit until you've cleared that drive-through. So that might be the case with that. That might be the case. That might be what has happened to Walter De Bruyne. So
yeah, maybe. We got Mr. Reese says he might have forgotten to pit. John Van der Geest, next question. Public download link for the WSC 1998 mod. If you join the Discord link, which is down in the description below on both the JBB and also the CMS channel, you can look below and join the Discord, get yourself involved, and you will be able to ask there as well. So there we go. Well, there you go. 90's titled you already. You can download the mod from the CMS site, Discord there as well. And Peter Peoples, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, sir. As Ross Smith goes into the booth with Jeffrey Ellis. Any relation there, Dan?
yes, indeed.
Father?
Yes, you've seen that very well,
Oh, good evening, Mr. People Senior, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Double P is in the chat there as well. Double P, Peter People Senior. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, and off we go. Once more there as well. It really is a silent. It really is a good job that you cannot hear what's being said in my ear. Magnus Dahlgren goes across the line, still chasing down Funk and Subic. I'm surprised again. What's going on in the pit stop cycle here, though, Dan? Because Dahlgren is also behind Funk and Subic, and they're registering as both of them have pitted. So, have they lost out here?
This could be a timing software issue as the 33 goes off the track. Does he hit the wall? He does. And that is a very hard hit. Now, can he keep it going to get it back to the pit lane at least to get it repaired? At the moment it seems like that is not needed. That car is still going pretty well out on track. However, he's off once again.
No, he's not comfortable. Mark Jones is not comfortable there. Eugene Missouri leading with Peter Meyer, 0.3 back. Of course, this is your battle down in the LMGT2 AMS. George Angelidis is in front of them. I believe that's Concast in front of him, if I'm not mistaken. It is, but it is Eugene Missouri. 8 tenths back as well. He's lost a chunk of time. Eugene Missouri.
Mr. Breezy's question is this rallying. With the amount of clouds that we've seen kicked up here this evening, it almost looks like it. They've done well on kicking up some dust. Now, they have also been very rapid through that chicane. I don't think in real life, James, you would smash the car over the curb that much.
No, I don't think they would, to be fair, but at the end of the day, the joys of being in a simulator, Missouri and Maya. So, LMGT2 AMS there, we've got Ross Smith out in the lead now of the GT2s there. Dan, you managed to get past Ellis in the pit stop.
He did well, because now that he is out in front, we do see, like I said, that Marcos to create a little bit of a gap. The longer we go into the race, like I said, when the pit stops come in, I do expect it to kind of, get into his zone. He's done that so far. Meanwhile, Mercedes number 35, off track Subic. That was a minor off track for what we've seen at that corner so far, let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely as well. He managed to get away of that one. So Timon Subic out in front, 8 seconds behind with Ethan Funk, we should say, once the commentator puts his teeth in. Magnus Dahlgren in third there as well. Currently at the moment, Francesco Concas fourth. George Angelidis is sitting fifth overall. Your leader of the LMGT1 AMS. Becky Healy 6.6 seconds back there as well. Maya out in front of the LMGT2 AMS and the LMGT2s. We've got Smith leading as well. All cars look so slippery on this track. Yeah, there was talk earlier on about putting the amount of rubber down on the circuit. Some drivers were saying that they were struggling with rear end as well. So it's possible that situation might be happening as well. Also, pit stops and tyres, Dan, what do we think the situation would be?
I think it's an interesting one, because we saw that with Hutchinson earlier on, and the gap has come down from about 25 to about 15 seconds in about 4 or 5 laps. So it might be worth taking those tyres. However, for people that have already made their first pit stop, it might be a bit late to do that right now. Now, Magnus Dahlgren has made his pit stop, so have Subic and Funk. But I think that our previous leader in this race, Magnus Dahlgren, has taken tyres, and that the two ahead of him did not do that. So I think we might say Dahlgren have an even bigger advantage coming to the second stint of this race than we did in the first stint, because he has these fresh tyres, and he can take the risk because he knows, James, that he just has that tremendous pace to rely on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing here for Magnus Dahlgren. He's got to try and bring it into the 157s he was doing and try and close the gaps up as much as possible. Last lap for Dahlgren was 2 minutes 3:92. Becky Ely, Wayne Hutchinson, yeah, that's Ross Smith, I believe is in front of us currently at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is GT2.
yeah, Ethan Funk was 2 seconds quicker than Timon Subic, but we don't obviously in conjunction with the fact that Subic may have been the one, but obviously with his little off tracks and stuff. So let's see how he gets on here. Becky Ely 14 seconds with a gap to Wayne Hutchinson. Hutchinson's gap is coming down quite rapid here at the moment as well. Ely last time out 2:04.26. Wayne Hutchinson 2:02.246. So a massive gap there, and another one that's closing here as well. John Uyan and Francesco Concas down.
Now, this is an interesting one because John Ewan in that Panos is, I think he's changed tyres from where he was earlier on, together with Dahlgren, compared to where he is now. I think together with Dahlgren, he has changed tyres. So Concas, Funk, Suvic might be in trouble when it comes to the last stints of this race. It will be a two-stopper for the GT1s. The GT2s might be able to go to the end on one stop. However, they're gonna have to do a lot of fuel saving if they do want to make that.
Yeah, definitely. I think Uyan is sitting now 5th. Concas is up the road here. Subic is up the road 2.9 ahead of Funk, 5.3 ahead of Dahlgren. So Dahlgren is closing in on the pair of them slowly, of course. So Ross Smith is back in the pits. Mark Jones, before he DNF'd, had been in the pits 3 times, mind you. Tom Mountjoy never got into the pits, and unfortunately neither did Tom Lane. And of course Maximilian Petrovsky, as we know, is already out. But Smith is another man that's back in the pits, with Jeffrey Ellis behind him there as well. So Ellis and Smith 1.8 seconds apart currently at the moment. 3.2 with Funk up front. 1.2 Dahlgren closing in on Funk quite rapidly here, Dan.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We're looking at a replay here. This is the 26. Once again, just going straight on, and that seems to be the safe option there. If you do go a bit wide, James, it seems like that is just the safe option to go for. Don't take any risks to try and just make that corner. Just turn out of it and take the safe route.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest ring. Go through it there as well. John Vandergee's thumb up there. Welcome in, John. Again. Did you leave and come back, John? Or was you just thumbs up in something there as well? So in YouTube chat currently, Magnus Dahlgren now. There is Funk in front of us, you can see. Dahlgren closing in. Oh, Barry Dimarzo again on the right hand side, if I'm not mistaken. Not having a good run is old Barry, unfortunately. This will be a race to forget for Barry in the Momo Scudiera Cavella F Ferrari, the 3-3 there, unfortunately for Dimarzo. Not too comfortable all in all. The problem is yeah, the contact though, if that was the car that contacted him that went past, was Timon Subic. So if Subic's giving him a tap off the side of the circuit, then I'm sure there might be a little bit of an interesting investigation into that one, because obviously that Subic behind, that was it. I think he lost it on his own. I've just caught the end of the replay there, so we'll just see if we can catch Barry Dimarzo going off all on his own. Just runs on the curb.
No, that was all on his own. There was no contact there. No
I'm
contact.
I'm wondering though, Dan, if with Timon Subic behind him, I'm not saying he's made the move to get out of the way, and obviously as we know with blue flags, I'm a big advocate of that, but that was a bit extreme. But I think I don't know if he's got damage, because it's not the first time we've seen Dimarzo spin either. So maybe he has, but Dahlgren and Funk here closing up quite nicely with 18 laps remaining. So let's see how these guys get on and see what happens here with Magnus Dahlgren. Dan, is he's tucked up behind Ethan Funk.
Well,
Magnus Dahlgren with those new tires, putting them to good use. Also, Funk has been gaining on Suvik ahead of him. So all three now getting together in the top three. Traffic up the road too for both of Funk and Dahlgren. That is now going to allow Suvik to create a little bit of a gap for himself. Funk's going to have a look up the inside. Oh, the Viper doesn't go for it. A wise decision. But that has allowed Suvik to create a little bit of a gap again. Magnus Dahlgren gets through as well. So doesn't lose any time with that either.
Yeah, Magnus Dahlgren now closing in between Funk. Funk's closing in between Suvik. This battle in the LMGT1s is going to be getting really spicy. Back marker down there as well, you know. Relatives, wonderful ideas. There we go. It looks like Dahlgren has got past Funk and he's done it with ease. Running into the chicane. Causes him back up. Here we go now. Dahlgren's got to try and get him. Dahlgren's going to have a go on that run round into 5, 6 and 7. That front marker is going to come into play. It's what we were talking about earlier on. You can lift now. So, no, stays in front of even Funk, the back marker, there as well. Which is, and then,
oh, and there we go.
That's it. See, that's
itself.
I don't know. I've just got to try and keep quiet because there's ample opportunity.
Do it, James. You can do it.
No, there was ample opportunity to lift there. I'm sorry, but there's no need for that. Ample opportunity to lift. All he's done is put Funk further back, 1.7 seconds back. Yeah. I'm not saying he would have stayed with Dahlgren. Dahlgren's looking rapid. I'm just saying that there wasn't more. Never mind. Move on, James. Move on.
He caused himself more pressure behind him than was needed.
Yeah.
And because of that, ran off.
Yeah, he tried to stay in front of the cars behind when you kind of lifted off down the straight.
I felt like he tried to take a GT1 approach to that chicane, and in the end, he was like, okay, yeah, I do be in a GT2, so I can't really take that approach, but he tried it, and in the end, you paid a price for it.
Yeah, you bit yourself there, sir, and ended up going off. So, Becky Ely here. Oh, missing the chicane, going straight across the grass. Off the other side, no dramas. Little bit of dirt picking up there as well, and I'm sure there's a nice little ting 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 underneath there with the dirt coming off. But Becky Ely in second place, 6.2 seconds back from George Angelidis and only 9 back from Wayne Hutchinson. That gap has come down from 14. There we go, we've got a bit of a freeway battle up front. Dahlgren, Suvik. Dahlgren did clear Suvik. So I'm guessing that may have been in the previous chicane or that run out of the final. Because obviously they're coming down through turn 2, 3 and 4 here. Dahlgren did clear Suvik and is now absolutely flying. Brazil to set the fastest lap of the LMGT2 and on the 2:11.699. See at the top there of your screen. The Dahlgren, Suvik and Funk could end up coming back together. Dahlgren's just looking too speedy, Dan. I'm sorry. I can't see anyone past Magnus Dahlgren. He's pulled out a second near enough already. He's just looking absolutely rapid. I can't see it personally. And if he clears these back markers in time, which he should do, and then Suvik doesn't, which he isn't,
Now I can't disagree, but you also have to keep in mind, James, Dahlgren is on fresh tyres. Suvik and Funk are not. So that's also playing into the hands of Dahlgren. That gap was way bigger once Dahlgren went into the pits. Now there is the Mustang ahead of him. So that's going to be in his way for the right-hander into the stadium section. Gets out of the way nicely. That's what we say, facilitate the move, help the quicker car pass through. You also take some pressure off yourself too. Behind that, we see the opposite happening with the Viper being in the way. Once again, Funk getting extremely unlucky with some traffic. The Mustang up front running off the road. So Tammy under pressure here too. He putting himself under some pressure.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, I think, as well. You've got to be and try and be a little bit more facilitating at the same time. So here we go, it's a replay now. This is Wouter De Bruyne, Brian Hall.
Brian Hall just got a cross-match chicane.
Yeah, he's taking the line that everybody else seems to enjoy.
Yeah. A different line than the usual one.
Yeah, not the ideal line, the optimal line. We've unfortunately lost Mount Tom Lane throughout the race, and Maximilian Petrovsky, who did not take the start there.
Oh! For a second there, that our leader of the race was off, but luckily for Magnus Dahlgren, it is not him, and he's continuing his way. But I thought for a second there, James, that the leader in the race was off, because look how close they are on track.
Yeah, Felipe and Enrique were down in 13th there, unfortunately. So, and another Jeffrey Ellis going to go straight on. Yep. Don't worry about the chicane. Hit the curb, no need. Off you go. There we go, straight through. If you're not going to make it, drive on, sir. Drive on. So, Jeffrey Ellis is back up on track and is flying along, and is now into the stadium section now for Jeffrey Ellis. Unfortunately for him, though, for a man that was up the front, Dan, he's now sitting in third place with JT Tammy behind him. At one point he was up beside Ross Smith, of course, and unfortunately now he's not. So, and he doesn't look too comfortable either. Is that rain? Is that misting over because we're going to have... It's dropped a mass amount of brightness here, Dan. Have the clouds come over?
On my timing screen, and race control, James, is still saying that it is dry out on track now.
Yeah.
They also say it's sunny, so I don't know to which degree to believe that, really, because yeah, what I'm getting or what I'm hearing is nighttime cruising in. The lights becoming more apparent on the cars too, so that could be one of the things, but I don't really think it is. Yeah, it's 3 p.m. So for it to be night now, is it a... Well,
where are we, in Iceland?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really an option, is it?
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure here in Germany at 3 p.m. it looks like being in the UK and anywhere else. George Angelidis goes in there, and Becky Ely goes out in front. Wayne Hutchinson, it looks like he's going to make his way through as well. Angelidis, he does. He goes into second. So I'm a bit surprised that we've all of a sudden seen this, what looks like cloud cover, come over and just blocked out the sun here. It's like being in the UK. It's supposed to be have snow and hail later on as well. Out of track. Hey mate, you want a joke? I was up in Scotland once and I was walking down the high street, and from one end of the high street to the other end I had every weather system you could ask for. I had wind, rain, hail, snow and sun, and that was walking down 100-metre high street. Oh, even Farms on the grass again.
These are live pictures.
Yeah, Funk doing grass cutting there for the groundsman at Hockenheim. Dahlgren still out in front, currently now 4.8 seconds. Becky Ely 5.1 seconds, of course, currently out in front as well. But they have only stopped once, Becky Ely, whereas George Angelidis has been in twice. Not sure on that one. So, but yeah, Magnus Dahlgren flying along, and the lovely train of back markers going off in front of us, as you can see there as well. Looks like Jeffrey Ellis alongside JT Tammy further down, just going down the straight in front of Dahlgren. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. Play that one with them two battling away, Magnus. What are you going to do, sir? You have to take it nice and easy and stay behind them, I think, Dan, until you can get up there.
Straight. That's what he's gonna do. That's the easiest thing in this GT1. So much quicker in a straight line than GT2. So there we go. Got past both of them now. Ross Smith is ahead of him too, the leader of the GT2s. The gap, however, has been coming down a bit to JT Tammy. Gap was about 5 seconds, now 3.2 seconds. So I do think that the pace that we've seen so far from Smith is his real pace. I don't think he can go any quicker.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, from Ross Smith. I am surprised though, because he was flying along and he did an absolutely stellar job. So, you know, from Smith's point of view, he is kind of he's out in front. He's 2.6 seconds. JT Tammy was a second quicker last time, so he's going to have to, well, the polite terminology would be get a move on. He's going to have to try and get a move on here, as he's got literally 13 laps, and there's JT Tammy behind, of course. And Ross Smith in that Marcos LM600 is going to have to try and get a bit of a shift on here. Otherwise, JT Tammy in that Mustang is going to have him and close the gap up. So we'll have to see how Smith gets on here, Dan. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. Both men have only pitted once, mind you. So
replay. You win.
Grass. Yep.
Yeah.
Stay out.
Oh, okay, then just accelerated into the wall. Well, did so well to stay out of it.
Vastilis Katarinakis is another man that misses the chicane, unfortunately. And poor old Barry Dimarzo has not had a good evening. He's another one.
Oh.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Have you seen the meme of Michael Schumacher at Monza? No, not Michael Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel at Monza. Goes down into turn what? Into the chicane.
When it's brake failed.
Yeah, it just goes straight through and smashes up the bollards. And there's some...
Board.
Yeah, whatever they call it. That will do. And somebody yells out, "Here comes a Vettel!" And he just goes straight through. And that kind of... I don't know where I'm actually going.
Here comes Barry Dimarzo!
Yeah, here comes Dimarzo. Straight through. I don't... So we're just...
Here we go. Oh, now we do have to make that. Put that sound. Here comes Barry Dimarzo. Put that sound. That footage.
Somebody get on and clip it, and then we'll get it up and edited there as well. Dimarzo coming through.
We need it now.
Asked at that point by my producer, where are you actually going with this in the background? I'm not entirely sure, but we're on now back up front with Magnus Dahlgren. The man out in front, absolutely flying along. He's got a 46-second gap. He is just going into the pits there. So George Angelidis has taken the first place in the LMGT1s. Smith still out in front, 3.2 to get Tammy, and Maya still out in front in the LMGT2 and here as well. 11 laps remaining here, Dan. What do we think is going to happen here? Because are they all going to come back together? Good evening, Phil, by the way. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us there, bud. Are we going to expect them to come together at the end of the race, Dan? Because we seem to be in that little second pit stop phase.
I don't know what Dahlgren is going to do in this second pit stop, really. Is he going to take tyres again? Is he not? Because he kind of has the room to do so, I feel. We saw him in the second stint confident that he could claw back the time while taking the pit stop with tyres. And I think he's done it again because Magnus Dahlgren is still in the pit lane. Concats, however, has gone into pit lane 2. So Funk still needs to get past. However, we saw Funk have a bit of a funky moment earlier on in the race. There we go. Put that pun in. That was coming into the stadium section. He's in the stadium section again. Got through there cleanly this time round. And I expect him to come into the pit lane 2. There we go. Ethan Funk pulls into the pit lane.
He's got a penalty. He has got a pending penalty. We can't tell you what it is on the timing there as well from the live racers. Little triangle up next to their status comes up as it has got a pending penalty for Ethan Funk. But it's now cleared, so whatever he's doing, he's now clearing the penalty. So Ethan Funk is got a penalty and will unfortunately now drop down the order. There we go, his penalty clearly is done because it's cleared now. So whatever Ethan Funk had done, he'd been a naughty boy, but it wasn't very long. And he's now cleared it. Magnus Dahlgren still out in front here for Timon Subic, 8.5 seconds back. Wout de Bruin behind that, as well as we flick to a replay. JT Tammy. Go on, off we go. And here comes Tammy! Sorry, couldn't resist. And off he goes there as well. Tammy, unfortunately, joins a long list of drivers that unfortunately have missed that chicane this evening and had a few issues. And there Tammy goes on there as well, on his way. Now 48 seconds back to Ross Smith out in front, of course. So Tammy pitted twice, Overton's once, Smith's once currently at the moment. Even Funk's been in 3 times there. Wilbur De Bruyne has been in once, Brian Hall in once as well. So it's all up in the arms at the moment. But George Angelidis with Becky Ely 31 seconds back currently at the moment here in the LMGT1 AMS. LMGT1's Dahlgren is dominating. I did say from the beginning as well. And I actually, come to think about this, Dan, all of my picks are at the top of the timing tower. Dahlgren, Angelidis, Smith. The only one I didn't say was Maya, but I didn't pick anyone else.
The race is not done yet. You can still jinx it.
No, George Angelidis has already told me, after his showing in the Moderns in Spa, where he spun more times than Kylie Minogue, he has told me he's going to go out and have an absolute amazing race here for George Angelidis. So that's why I put him down at the beginning with Matthew Overton in second place there in the Viper. Love a good Viper. He's just, oh man, if only. Well, if only. Look at it, Dan. Just look. Just think.
I'm looking.
It's just. Who needs chocolate when you've got a Dodge Viper?
Well, it is a good car, but I would still like to eat some chocolate from, one day. So the Viper is cool. I would rather have a Viper than have chocolate. I do agree with that, because well, a Viper, you can enjoy it every day. Would you, if you got a Viper, James, though, would you daily drive it?
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Reese there, cast a curse. What did I just hear? Nothing. You didn't hear anything. The guys up front that I picked are top as well, and I love the big cast a curse. Oh, Matthew Overton. Oh, Funk. Is that Funk on the left-hand side again? It looks like even. Oh, in the background that rejoin. Is that even Funk squirreling along there?
That might be Alex. That might be Alex.
Alex. Or is that? Or is it Boreck? Is it? Here we go. Alex Boreck here, not having a good time in that chicane. No. That is definitely not a way to go through that. Can we stay with this? Because that rejoin, he ends up pulling out in front of somebody as well. There goes Simon Subic here. I'm sorry, guys. I've got somebody in my ear singing here currently at the moment as well. 2 Unlimited in the background. Look, watch the rejoin, and then here comes. Oh,
that rejoin!
Oh, dude.
Yoy.
Stewart's on the booth there. Stewart's up in the booth, but for Boreck there, not the greatest of rejoins. Good, says Mr. Reese. Yeah, I know. Shh. Commentator's curse as well. It must be from the States with the caster comment as well. That's where it generally originates from. Was the America was providing casters. So there we go. Dave Gores in 4th place. That's all where I'm going to go with that one as well for that situation, because it can cause a mass debate and we don't really want to go down that road. Brian Hall in 7th place in the Mercedes-Benz CLK.
Well, I'm starting a petition that we're going to record all the things that our producer says in our ear, and we're going to put it out at some point, because you could make a comedy film of it. So no, honestly, it's amazing. But on track, it's also amazing that Dahlgren has about a gap of 10 seconds so far. Now, I do feel that Dahlgren did not take tyres compared to everyone else, and that they causes off, goes out, loses it, keep it out of the wall. Poor little Viper.
Please don't do that to the Viper. It doesn't like it. Katarinakis here as well, going into the stadium on the grass, as we've seen so many. Ross Smith just waving by out the window there as Katarinakis was coming in way too hot for his own good, and unfortunately goes onto the grass there as well. There is Vasilis Katarinakis trying to battle back. This is the battle here for position in the LMGT2. I'm not entirely sure the situation, the mindset of Katarinakis here, because he's 1 lap down as well. I'm not entirely sure why you would jeopardise it, as Timon Suvic, I believe that is coming up behind him as well. This is the whole situation. He hasn't been fast all race, so the thought process of possibly staying with Ross Smith seems to be very minimal, and the way that car is not under the best control for Suvic's point of view, I would get on my bike there as well. So Timon Suvic trying to ride away here as well. Magnus Dolger in 8 seconds. Oh, Jeffrey Ellis at the base of your screen, coming out of 11. Oh, there's another one as well.
There's a car coming through there too. How close do you want it?
Preferably not as close as Ellis just gave it to him, clearly. 8 laps remaining here. We've had some, well, stewarding incidents, I would have thought, for Jeffrey Ellis coming into turn 11. It's one of the Porsches up the inside of him. Again. Oh, no! That Porsche, was that Eugene Mazur? That wasn't the leader of the Eugene Mazur. Like space, so straight back up, can run that in. And point, you know, when we say point proven, just about sums it up. No need, all you've done is take yourself out, put yourself in the pits, and jeopardised Jeffrey Ellis's race as well. I don't know. Commentators lost for words. There we go. That's a first. Right.
James not happy, as you would expect with that. So will be Ellis, of course. Ellis, however, has got up to P4. Was P5 just earlier on. I think Katranakis has dropped down the order too. Tammy, however, is still 45 seconds up the road, so I don't think Ellis is going to get to that. However, down massively.
No, he's definitely not now. Jeffrey Ellis is definitely not going to get him there as well. David Anderson, nice broadcast, guys. Thank you very much. You know, we're trying our hardest there as well with the production in the background. You know, fighting fires, clicking on the right replays and that. So Paul, of course, fighting and, you know, trying his hardest to catch all the action for us as we go to another replay. Let's see. Poor old Barry Dimarzo is doing a bit of a highlight reel with Barry. Unfortunately, he's not had a good race. That pit lane entry has been a very tricky one. No. Oh!
I think that sums it up. Oh, yeah, that sums it up.
Tammy's in the wall. He's going to put it in the wall. Oh, JT Tammy. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. No. Battle here for Concassi on your screen currently at the moment, and John Huyan in the Panos and Concassi in the Porsche 911. 0.6 seconds back. That's Barry Dimarzo there behind them, so he's be careful. And Tammy, I think, is up the road in front currently at the moment. But Barry Dimarzo and Francesco Concas battling away nicely. The gap did come down to below 2 tenths and has gone back out again. Oh, yeah, that's not away. That's not away. Oh, neither knows that Concas. God, that just gave me a head check then as he went round that chicane. I felt I was on a boat going up and down in the ocean. Francesco Concas with John Huyan here, going round into the stadium section, turn 11. And he's going to go off the grass. Oh, he's wiggling again. Oh, Concas is definitely trying there. He's definitely giving it all the beans he can in that right foot, but he's also squirreling well. For John Huyan, I'll be a little bit worried because he is looking like he's a little bit low. Nearly nose to tail. John Huyan is going to get blocked into JT Tammy. They're going to be running 3 wide with a back marker as well. JT lift. You don't want to get caught in this. Oh, not this time, but boy, oh boy, Comcast was close to Uyan there. That was nearly well, poor old John Uyan nearly went round.
Luckily though, he didn't, and he keeps his 4th position ahead of Comcast. However, this fight will, I think, be going on till the end of the race. Francesco Comcast is not going to be able to get past that. Panos quick in a straight line. On the brakes though, that Porsche 911 GT 198 a lot quicker. On the straight, Panos, even with how close Francesco Comcast is, he can't get past in a straight line, even with slipstream. That Panos absolutely mighty in a straight line.
Yeah, but watching the brakes from Comcast every time. I don't know if that Porsche can't quite get that stop there, but Comcast is coming from such high speed behind that panel. That is, I don't know, poor old John Uyan with that behind him. I'd be shaking here, I'll tell you that much. You never know if he's going to stop. Comcast coming in once more again. Looks like he's coming in a little bit harder than John Uyan. Oh, the brakes are going to be smoking on that Porsche 911. Smoking onto turn 11 they go. And Zero there as well. But Jesus, I'm hearing so many commentators being scared. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that's more me than Dan. Dan's a quiet one. Oh, he's on the curb. We're going to another replay here of Mike Olsen. Is he going to be on another one that's gone through? He has.
There was almost contact there, the way he went straight on. He almost hit the car ahead of him.
Oh, Ellis is off again. And that contact earlier on.
Oh, and he's just after that. Keep it out of the wall though, sir.
He's got damage. That front right's collapsed. It looks like that front right had collapsed there down as well. And unfortunately for Jeffrey Ellis, that
what do you think that's
would
down
have.
to?
Well, if it's his front right, that would have been the contact as he made going around turn 11. Inside left to inside right. That would have been where the contact had come from. The car was looking very lopsided here. Comcast is still... and here comes Comcast on Uyan. Oh! Uyan takes the nose off him. Plastic surgeon needed for Francesco Comcast there as well. Nose job all the way. Maybe you can get...
Do not make it 3
Here we
wide.
go. Do not go 3 wide. Stay where you are, Mr. Porsche. Do not lift. Lift. Please lift for me. Thank you very much. Comcast now still coming up behind Uyan once more. He's all squirrely. Oh, he's going around the other side. Comcast is through. Uyan still in front. Only just, mind you. 3 temps currently at the moment. And now Ross Smith's coming up. The leader of the LMGT2s, who I'm sure listens to me regularly. How many L's in regularly there? I still can't say it. And we'll know that the fact that these cars are coming and, you know, they're going to be waving blue flags. So he's not going to want to upset the commentator whatsoever, is Mr. Smith. And he will move over and make it as easy as possible. Probably down into turn 1, mind you, because then coming into the stadium section, not quite close enough yet. Comcast again is tucked up as well. We jump on the nose of Comcast. That'd be quite an interesting point of view here. Going into turn 12. There he goes. He's so hot. He's got up the inside. He's lost it. He's round. Oh, John Uyan on the grass out of turn 12 and around he goes. And that wasn't even contact there, Dan. It was all on his own for John Uyan. Oh, poor old Uyan.
Painful.
Very, very, very painful there as well. And we're going to have another look here. I'm sorry, John. That Panos there not loving turn 11. If you watch his right rear, you'll see it hit the grass. Oh, it's already going on the grass. Didn't save it.
Before that.
Yeah, he's sliding on the way in. Nothing he could have done. John Uyan in that car. I'm sure there's going to be a few expletives that we will not be able to report, of course. But poor old John Uyan. And Jeffrey Ellis is out DNF there as well. Ellis dropping out of it. We was expecting that though, with that amount of damage he had on the front end of that car. So Jeffrey Ellis there is another one that's DNF'd. So, with the Bruin, what have you been up to, young sir? Oh, grip level's gone down, it was looking like. He's dropped right off currently at the moment.
Is that the grip level or the tyres that are going off towards the end of this race?
Oh no, George Angelidis, don't do this.
Just straight on, like so many drivers have done so far. Also the Mustang, probably going to go straight on 2. No, he's just going to go wide. Keep it out of the wall though. Will be. Now rejoin safe.
No! Oh, he did come across the front of Zubik. Oh, Gorecki's been up to as well. So I'm getting a highlight reel here of what all the drivers have been up to. Running in. Through he goes. Gorecki is off as well.
I told you how difficult this track was at the beginning, James, and it's showing now with the amount of drivers that have been going.
Oh, he's done barrier. Oh! Nose deep there for the number 65 down, 55 car there, down straight into the barrier. Unfortunately for there as well, and unfortunately another one. It's all of a sudden the track. We're now watching an episode of Disney on Ice with Porsches and the GTs. Mike Olsen's another one here as well. He's joining the back of the slidey company. There he goes. On we go once more. Morassi's done it as well. It is just, there's no rain, and I'm not seeing any rain here. I just don't understand it. Oh, Barry Dimarzo again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
don't get too excited.
Poor old Dimarzo.
What's happening out on track?
I have no idea.
Why is everyone spinning round? We're back to live fixtures finally, but that was just absolute craziness.
I'm not even sure. I have literally just watched a 60-second YouTube clip of Disney on Ice in Hockenheim with these cars just sliding off. It's just been unbelievable. Well, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, though, it's all settled down now. We haven't had any more episodes of cars going off here. I have to just hear the "oh" in my ear from our producer. So here we go. Producer Paul. Oh no, George Angelidis, please don't do this, sir. Oh, he has.
He has not. Goodness me. That was a hard in mouth moment. Now, however, Ely is closing in on George Angelidis with the moment that he has. Or that he's had lately. He's gone into the pits. Angelidis into the pits. This is crucial for this race. Ely might get a 3rd win in a row if, well, Angelidis doesn't come out of the pits in time. 24 seconds is the gap that he has in just a drive-through. Let's hope for Angelidis that is the case. If it's not, this is way bigger than we might have expected. It is not, it's a stop and go.
Here comes Becky Ely. It's not a penalty. I think this is just going to be a stop and go for, if it is a splash and dash, it is. He's off now, George Angelidis. He's going to see how he comes out. He's got 2 laps. There is Ely there. There's Smith. There's John Uyan. Angelidis he's got a chance here. John Uyan's going to try and go around Becky Ely. Obviously, Uyan's spinning off, unfortunately, out of 12. And Hutchinson's not far back either. Angelidis, come on, sir. I don't want to feel like I've done anything wrong, but I'm sorry. We're supposed to be diplomatic, but unfortunately there's just some favourites that you like. And I did call that George Angelidis would take the victory. But I've got a funny feeling underestimating Becky Ely here could be a big, big problem. Once more, and Wayne Hutchinson goes straight on. There he goes, over the curb. Oh, both of them go. It's a race. Who's going to get to the other end here of the off tracks? And it is Hutchins. And we think it might be Mike Olsen going up there as well. Angelidis has got to go again as we're going to head back to live pictures here of this battle. Up the front, there's Ely, there's Angelidis. What is George going to do? He's got 1.8 now, and he has not got long. Becky Ely's just got to keep it on track. Watching her exits, of course. Here we go. Angelidis goes on round it. There we go. And he's on his way. Here he comes, George Angelidis. in that Ferrari. Dan, what do we reckon? Do we reckon he's going to be able to get Becky Ely?
Well, these two still have about 2 laps to go. They're quite far behind on Dahlgren, so is everyone else. Sulik is also about 25 seconds back. But these two, still 2 laps to go. So once they come across the line, still 2 laps. And with the amount that George Angelidis is gaining, Ely had a big overstay moment going into the second to last corner. I have a feeling the tyres on Ely and car are absolutely shot. And we might well see for the first time in 3 races time Becky Ely under some pressure. Ewan is going on track too. Ewan went down the inside of George Angelidis, and that did not go how I expected it to go. I expected John Ewan to absolutely take out George Angelidis. However, luckily for both of the two, they can keep going. But Becky Ely under pressure there.
Oh man, I thought that was it. I thought Angelidis was going to go to that car there. Unfortunately for him, oh mate, Ely got a big moment as well coming out the final corner, and has now got George Angelidis tucked up right behind her. And now, how is this going to go here? It is going to be pressure here from George Angelidis. He's going to be a dog with a bone. He's not going to want to give it up. Oh, he's got to get out better than that. Angelidis needs to get a better exit out of that corner than that one, mate. He torpedoed that car down into the nose, and you see the big sparks come out, scrubbed the speed off, and unfortunately for George Angelidis, he's dropped back 7 tenths now as we go on to the nose. Here we go on the brakes again. Got to get a better run, George. Looking, he's through on the gas we go. Still out, Ely got us better than one nose. She's pulled out 1 second. Can Angelidis get this, or is Becky Ely going to take a famous victory here at Hockenheim? There is Magnus Dahlgren here as well. Let's see what is going on. Ely's still out in front. We're going to be on the final lap, aren't we? Is this Dahlgren's final lap? I think we've got a funny bit. It's going to be Dahlgren's final lap here, lap 39. Becky Ely's going to come across the line. I think there's going to be one more remaining for these. It is. I think Dahlgren's on his final lap. I think everybody else is still round on their finals. Just crossed the line on their final one now. But it is going to be Magnus Dahlgren coming across the line with Timon Suvic 28 seconds back. Angelidis gaps back down to 8 tenths. We'll see Dahlgren cross the line, and then we'll jump down into the Angelidis-Ely battle. He's going to clear. Stay on track, sir. Stay on track. Come on, last corner. You can do this. And here comes Magnus Dahlgren. It's going to be done as well. Magnus Dahlgren is your winner. Here comes Ely and Angelidis. What is going to happen here? Who do we think, Dan? Quick prediction.
Ely's gonna keep it. If she gets to that stadium section, Ely's gonna keep it.
Well, here we go. There's Becky Ely. George Angelidis needs a run out of this chicane now. He's got to knock nose deep that car. Oh, he's done it again! Becky Ely's on her way. I think Ely's going to take it now. I can't see Angelidis catching him. He's only got turn 11. Can he get up? Ely's squirming around in that car. Doesn't look like the McLaren F1 has got much grip on it. Becky Ely now into the chicane. Got to be able to keep it straight. Angelidis just going to come out on there like an absolutely bat up hell. He goes too much. He cuts grass. You're not in a lawnmower, sir. You're in a Ferrari. Into the stadium we go, and I got a funny feeling this is going to be Becky Ely's win. Unless Angelidis is going to go and try something crazy. Is he going to try something crazy? Can Ely hold it going around this turn 12? Onto the brakes goes that McLaren F1 GTR. Angelidis right up behind her now. I think she's going to do it, Dan. I think she's going to hold it. Right on the final. Yeah, 2 corners to go. Becky Ely. George Angelidis is going to have to settle for second. It's going to be Ely. Ely's going to take the victory. Oh, over the line in the LMGT 1Ms there as well. Ross Smith has taken the victory in the LMGT 2s. And Meyer in the GT2 AMs as well. Absolute stunning race from them two towards the end. As we just flick to a replay here. Straight on. Another one. No. Oh no, Barry Dimarzo. Poor Barry. Oh, we're going into another highlight reel. There was quite a few drivers that had gone off there. JT Tammy looked like he'd come and got loose out of 11. Dimarzo again. Got 2 in a row for poor Barry. Oh, he's over the curb. I think that was the same one we just possibly watched there of Barry Dimarzo. So there we go. Unbelievable action here towards the end. Becky Ely taking that victory. Incredible with Magnus Dahlgren as well. Absolutely stunning race from these guys. Got to be honest, that was one that's going to go down there as well. Congrats for P1. So there we go. And 0 there as well. Ha! The commentator be screaming. Well, you got to get excited. Otherwise, what's the point? Magnus Dahlgren is your winner. Timon Tuvik second. Ethan Funk third. Francesco Concas is in fourth. Becky Ely takes that victory from George Angelidis, and no more than 0.8 seconds back at the end there as well, in 5th and 6th respectively. John Uyan down in 7th after his spin, of course. Wout de Bruin 8th, Alexander Schultz in 9th, and Wayne Hutchinson down in 10th place there. I think Hutchinson actually pitted towards the end as well. He made 3 pit stops, did Wayne Hutchinson. People in front of him made 2. Angelidis made 3, but everybody else made 2 as well. Felipe Enrique, didn't really see much of Enrique. He did 3 as well. Brian Hall down in 12th. Gilles Lalonde 13th. And Alex Gorecki in 14th with Mike Olsen. And 15th place with Barry Dimarzo, who's had a race to absolutely forget there. He will not be sitting back thinking, I've done well there. Unfortunately, Dimarzo just could not get a grip with his circuit. Ross Smith leads the LMGT2s in first place. Tammy there looked like had an off right near the end. And Matthew Overton finished in 3rd place. Peter Meyer takes it in the LMGT2 AMS, of course. And he's down in 20th place currently at the moment. Vasilis Kataranakis in 21st. Dave Kors in 22nd. Then the other AMS of Eugene Mazur and Filippo Marazzi there as well. And then we go into our DNFs. Jeffrey Ellis got caught up in a incident with Mazur on turn 11. Claps the front right of his car and did not finish there as well. Mark Jones went off into the barrier nose deep. Tom Mountjoy, another one that come a cropper there as well. And Tom Lane's suspension, we saw Tom in the YouTube chat earlier on, absolutely collapsed his suspension. Car was not in control, could not basically handle it. And he said he would have been taking more people out than he would have been done racing. Maximilian Petravsky did not take the start whatsoever and did not complete the race there as well. So an unbelievable evening of racing here as well. We're going to have a chat with the winners now. We've got Ross Smith waiting in the booth for us. Let's have a chat with Ross, your winner of the LMGT1 AMS. There's Mr. Smith. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, GT2 Pro, actually.
That's what I said, didn't
I? Perhaps.
Did I not? LMGT1. LMGT. Oh, sorry. Anyway, look, LMGT2 winner, Ross Smith there, battling away. Great racing there with JT Tammy. Ross, did you think you were going to come out in front?
No, I didn't. I was actually surprised to see JT have to duck in early because I just kind of assumed that the Marcos had the worst fuel mileage of them all. And, I mean, even after the BOP come at Silverstone that we saw to bring it a little bit closer, it was still just guzzling away. But that was kind of shocking.
How was it on pit stops? What did you think you would have to make throughout the race?
Well, definitely 2 stops. Is a little bit of a question mark on the second one because we didn't know how the GT1s were going to be lapping, so we didn't know if we were going to have to go a little bit more or less. And I had actually talked with Jeff Ellis and said we were going to go with softs on the second stop. And I ended up not doing that because I had flashbacks to Silverstone where I took on tires thinking I'd chase down JT, and he was just too far up the road to catch. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to run with what I got, and if they fall off the car, so be it.
Yeah, but you managed to survive to the end there as well. You know, it was touch and go. I'd like to point out I did have you as my pick for the win, so I'm so glad you did. I do feel a little bit better now, the fact that I picked a winner. Unfortunately, George Angelidis I did pick as the winner as well, but unfortunately he didn't. So, sorry, George. But,
Yeah.
you know, overall, not a bad race for you, sir. Going forward, what do we think? What's going to be your favorite track? You know, you got Le Mans next. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, Le Mans should see. I mean, the big long courses are pretty good for the Marcos, just because it can haul in a straight. It'll be tough against the Mustang, but I mean, if what we saw today is any indicator, and we don't see anything happen with its fuel, then it should be pretty good. But yeah, it's actually fun thing I saw before coming into this one. We've had a different winner for every single race in the pro category for GT2 up to this point. So and still continue 5 races, I think it is. So it's yep, everyone's been on the podium.
Nice. Well, there we go. Some facts for us there as well. So Ross Smith, thank you for joining us in the booth, sir. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, my teammate, I saw that he had an incident. I felt bad because he was doing pretty well, so that was going to be a good points haul for us. But, we wish good luck to Ben. Hopefully he's able to get himself into a spot where he can rejoin us and make this a little bit more interesting. And to you guys, yeah, you did a great job. I haven't seen it yet, but I know you did.
Yeah, it was pretty good, to be fair. You know, Paul did pretty well in the background. So well done, you know, overall. But thank you so much, Ross, for having a chat to us there, and take care.
Thanks, same.
So there we go, guys, as well. We got Becky Ely in the booth waiting for us, of course. Becky taking the win in the LMGT1 AMS. So we can bring Becky into the booth. Becky, good afternoon, or good evening, should I say. Can you hear me okay?
Good evening. Yes, I can.
How are you?
I'm pretty exhausted. How about yourself?
I'm knackered, to be honest, my love. I got so enthralled in what was going on, I think I've tired myself out. But overall, that wasn't bad for you there as well. George helped you out by having to pit 3 times. Did you think it was going to be close on pit stops or not?
I hoped it would. I didn't know. I was watching. George was 32 in front, and I was like, oh, I know he's got to pit again. I know he's got to do a splash and dash. I was watching him very carefully, and I realised that he was not fuel saving 1 lap a stint, and I was like, he's got to pit with 3 laps left. And luckily, I'd closed in from 32 to 26, and then I came out like a second or 2 in front of him.
But he was putting you under pressure.
Yeah, he really was. I thought he was going to get me. He said he messed up out of one of the chicanes when he could have had a run.
Yeah, he went in too hot. He dug the nose in on that Ferrari, scraped the curb, and unfortunately scrubbed a load of speed off on the way out. You put the gap out to about 1 to 1.1 seconds. Then he pulled you back in again, and he did the same thing on the final lap as well, where he was only it was like 0.2 tenths behind you. He did the same thing going in again. He went in too hot, scrubbed speed off, and unfortunately lost his exit coming out as well. But, you know, what did you think when he come out right behind you? Did you think, because you were in as well at one point for George Angelidis, he nearly lost it altogether with John Ewan down in turn 1. But did you think you could stay ahead, though? Because you've had an exceptional season. Did you think, I can do this? I'm going to beat him here?
I had absolutely no idea whether I could do it or not, because the McLaren did not get on with that track. I put in more practice than I think I ever have before to try and make sure that I could at least do an okay pace. And yeah, the tortoise was back. Slow and steady won the race.
Yeah, well, that's at the end of the day one of the main things regarding this circuit, because I'm not going to lie, we did see a lot of people go off and spin here. So it was a battle of just keeping it on track, I think. And you've done an absolutely stellar job. Another victory, cementing your place at the top of the championship going forward as well. You know, Le Mans next. Are we going to see another victory?
Absolutely no chance. The straights are way too long there. It's like Hockenheim. So maybe if I'm super lucky, but I reckon with the longer period of time, George and Wayne and Barry, if he puts in the practice as well. So George, Wayne and Barry will all be really, really hard to beat. So I don't think it's going to be happening there. But I'll give it my best shot.
Yeah.
I'll always try and rest. And I'll be back on the races afterwards. Some of the races afterwards will suit the McLaren. So even if Le Mans isn't the one, then it's just all you do is keep it on the track, bring home a few points. You don't have to win every race.
No, you don't. And you're sitting top at the moment. So, no need for you to go out there and desperately try and make a great effort to get to the front. You can just plod around and do your thing and hopefully get a podium there as well. But Becky, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'd just like to really give a shout out to everyone because it was a fantastic race, and I know a lot of people spun off, but it was really clean racing out there. So even though there was the spins, people pushing hard by themselves, I think once they got together, they were all being really careful. And there's a few times some of the pros, I was like, well, I'm just going to stay out the way and let them pass in the chain, and they just stayed behind because they didn't want to risk it. So yeah, it's really great racing by everyone. And I've got one question for you, James.
Okay.
Can you say my surname?
Becky Ely.
You did it. Well done.
No, I've done it for the whole race.
Oh wow. Well,
I know.
it's nice. Yeah, you finally got there.
I know. See, that's what happens. I can't help it. I've been practicing in the green room.
Yes.
We discussed it actually.
I practiced at Hockenheim. You practiced saying my name.
I know. We've done
It's all
well
good.
between us. Yeah, it's a double win.
Yeah. For sure.
Thank you so much, Becky, for
Have
joining
a
us.
lovely evening.
And you take care.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, there you go, Becky Ely there in the booth as well. Well, I've never been questioned by a driver before, whether or not we say her surname. Good job, we were practicing in the green room before we come live here as well. Otherwise, it would have been a terrible, terrible scenario if I'd have got that completely wrong there as well. But overall, not a bad evening of racing there. Any more interviews for us? Nobody else currently at the moment. Right, let's bring Dan back in now as well. Dan, thank you so much for joining us once more here. Sum it up for us in one sentence.
Ooh, is that really possible around this track? I'll do my best. A chaotic but entertaining race. There we go.
Chaotic but entertaining. Wow, that's one way of looking at the race as well. And it was a very enthralling race for us up here in the booth. Hope you enjoyed yourselves at home there, guys, and watching on the JPB YouTube channel and on CMS. All descriptions and links are down in the description below as well. So if you want to get yourselves involved, join the Discord, come and have a look there as well. Thank you so much for Mr. Reese, David Hansen, Zero Maron for joining us as well. And I know there was lots of others that had come along in here as well. And I'm sorry if I've missed you all. It's been a very interesting race for myself and Dan Peebles. Yes, we did get excited. Yes, we did get involved. And yes, we were sitting in the car as well. Peter Peebles. Oh, yes, sorry. Peter Peebles Sr., of course, father of Dan in the booth here as well. Much love to you. Thank you so much for joining us there as well. But guys, that brings us to the end. We want to give a big shout out to Paul Glover, who's been on the production, providing us with these epic camera angles here as well. So thank you so much for that one. But for myself and Dan Peebles here this evening, guys, take care. Have a great week. And as always, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.